But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know whether rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. And hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? This is the show where we talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. This show is live. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and DLive. And as a result, we're taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show at any point tonight, we're looking to hear from you. This is a conversation. This is not a typical radio show. This is a conversation between myself and you. And if you can hear me out there, I'm talking to you. And this show is really kind of powered by let's say the superpower of this show is all the amazing callers we get, all of the fantastic insights, and basically all the things in the material world, and all of the mythological world that we explore, all of the propaganda that we talk about, and we try and keep it as apolitical as possible. But all those things we said in the beginning are basically what this show's about, and more. We try and since the very beginning of this show, we tried to really have a wide berth in the things we talked about, meaning that we didn't want to limit ourselves to just a political talk show, or just a show that talked about aliens, or a show that talked about any of those things. We really wanted to be a show that talked about all of those things. And so as a result, this is what you get. This is what Troubled Minds is, and this is exactly what we do. So part of the phone number bit that I was saying is you can give us a call at this phone number, by the way, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org, and you can click the Discord link. Discord is a chat client and a voice client. It's totally free if you have an internet connection, so you don't have to, if something pops up and asks you to pay, don't do it, because you can use it completely free. And it's the functionality is the full full functionality of Discord without paying a penny, and it's an amazing program. Okay, the deal is this, right? The reason I bring up the phone number, one, because clearly I want you to call, but two, is part of the conversation is it's a two-way street, meaning that I'm not right about basically anything. I don't. This is not the ego show where I'm trying to dictate to you the answers, and you know the shows I'm talking about, where the political guys pound their fist on the pulpit and they swear up and down that the things that are telling you are the truth. Well, that's not as important to me because I think in a post-truth world, I think it's becoming more and more difficult to really pin down what the truth means and what the truth is. And so as part of a greater overall truth, I think it's more important for us to think as individuals and share information in real time like this on in a live format, very much like this radio show, or like chat rooms or anything else. And by the way, speaking of chat rooms, we are watching all the chat. Like I said, we got a couple Discords rolling. If you want to join the Fringe Discord, please do that. Lots of smart people over there. Lots of smart people in the Troubled Minds Discord. Go to fringe.fm/chat, and then we'll give you a direct invite and bring you right into the Fringe FM Discord. And so I'm watching all of it, and I'll try and read some of it and kind of incorporate it as we go. But as much as I've learned doing this show, it's been over 3 years now, which I'm very proud of, by the way. That's why I mention it all the time. And the thing is that we get together and we talk about these things. And I've learned a ton, really kind of digging into some of the mythologies of the world, some of the folklore, some of the maybe flat out disinformation, and we talk about all that stuff, aliens and the rest. But more than anything, I've learned most of the things that I'm grateful for doing this show from you guys, from the people out there listening, because we get so many amazing callers. Like just for instance, turned on the show last night. Clearly not right now, but last night's show was amazing. We had so many good callers there with some great takes that really took the conversation in a way that I hadn't even anticipated. And that happens now and then on this show. It's not uncommon, let's say. And so that's okay. That's part of it. Is we basically start with a premise and maybe some folklore, some propaganda, or a news article, and then we take it from there. And wherever the conversation ranges, that's where it goes, and it depends on you. So that's the deal. One more time, I'm going to say the number, and looking to hear from you guys tonight. 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. Phone number's right on top. Okay. So with all that said, this is the deal. I said this a couple weeks ago, and I have a setup in my email that basically kind of is kind of a news aggregation system, right? It pulls all the keywords that I want and gives me news articles regarding these particular things. And so I have vampires and werewolves and ghosts and all the stuff you would expect, right? Propaganda and the social credit scores and things like this, right? All the normal stuff that we talk about on this show, and that's where I usually pluck my news from, because of course if you don't set it up to work the technocrats in your favor, they will basically flood you with a bunch of fake news, right? So in any case, to not bore you any further with this, I was delighted again for the second time in a couple weeks now, that there was actually a ping in my email with news about werewolves. And I was like, no, twice in the same month, in June of all times? It doesn't make any sense, does it? And so not that long ago, a couple weeks back, we had a show on werewolves. And not just werewolves, but some of the stories, but portals, right? Portals from maybe some of these paranormal hotspots are, is talking about skinwalkers and werewolves and portals and this type of thing. And I thought it was a fantastic conversation. Like I said, as adults, we need to stretch our imaginations as well and consider these things as possibilities. But the thing is, right? The thing is that since werewolves is back in the news, and I'll show you that in just a second here, and I couldn't just do werewolves again, all right? Because, well, we just did that. We just did the werewolves and the portals. So I think to mark the occasion of having some nice tabloid news of werewolves, I think we're going to talk about instead maybe some werewolf stuff, but as a general overall mythology of this, what a shapeshifter actually is. Meaning, of course, the most basic and the most probably the most famous shapeshifter that everybody's aware of is the werewolf, right? It's the legend goes something like this, right? They get lycanthropy, they get bitten by a werewolf or something like this. They get cursed, and by the light of a full moon, they turn into a monster, like a wolf-like monster or a werewolf, right? And so that's probably the most famous shapeshifter, in my opinion. If I'm wrong, again, I'm looking to hear from you guys if you want to correct me on that. But these shapeshifters have been all over, every culture the world over. I was looking into some of this, of course, before we started here, and it's literally every culture. Everywhere out there, there's some sort of shapeshifter legend or mythology that was happening hundreds, thousands of years ago. And so, so aside from the werewolf, we're going to kind of look at some of that tonight and get into a bunch of maybe some of the mythologies and some stories and some things like this. But interesting to note about not just werewolves, but shapeshifters in general. There have been modern claims as well. It's not just, we're not talking about, from 600 years ago in the United Kingdom or anything. It's basically from everywhere. And not only that, there's some recent ones that we can kind of cite where people have said that they encountered a shapeshifter today in the modern age, like a year ago type stuff. So pretty good stuff. Like I said, I hope that this is something that interests you, because it does interest me. And so I'll show you the article that got us started here, that got me onto this actual werewolf kick tonight. And by the way, speaking of werewolf kicks, it's notable, so I have to mention it, that we've been waiting with bated breath on this UFO report, the 6-month UFO report, which was supposed to be due, according to Marco Rubio, sometime this week, okay? And so we've been kind of reserving every show this week for when this actual UFO report hits, okay? So we're going to be all over it. So if it hits tomorrow, we'll do a special stream tomorrow, and we'll stay up on that. But so I was expecting to maybe have to do it today, and no, it's still not out. So I guess either it's going to be late, this UFO report, the 6-month UFO report, or they're going to deliver on time, which would be tomorrow. And so as a result of that, we usually don't do a Friday show, but we will do a show tomorrow night at the same time, 7 p.m., just to make sure that we're able to cover it, to basically be first on this, because as always, if we let it be and let the media soak it up and do their thing, they're going to lie to us. So it's best to get the document ourselves and read the document ourselves. And that's what's up. So just notably, I had to mention it because we're kind of all waiting for that, and it may be a tomorrow thing. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But okay, so in any case, what we're doing is this is what started me on this kick tonight, and really spawned this conversation in my brain. Notice I have these conversations by myself, to myself, before we start, to kind of give us an idea of myself an idea of what we're going to talk about. Anyway, more boring details. Here we go. I see all you guys in chat. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being part of this. I appreciate you coming and hanging out. But okay, so now this is from now this again. Now I always link my sources. If you ever want to find my sources, go to the YouTube or Facebook or anywhere after the show, and you'll find all my sources linked down below the actual video. So again, like, better or worse, you can find the sources. Okay, so here we go. We've got this. This is from the dailystar.co.uk, and like I said, it's a tabloid, so forgive me on that, but it's a pretty cool story. Headline is this: UK's most terrifying canine legends, from werewolves to the feared black dog. And this is very similar to the article that just happened not too long ago, but this one is from today. This article literally hit. And so let's take a look at this and read just a little bit of this. And I actually was thinking about this happening as the dogs, the black dogs and the werewolves and all these things, but it kind of really started out with shapeshifters. So here we go. For centuries, right from the article, people have been telling tales of terrifying beasts in the night with red eyes and canine features. These creatures of lore also tend to have supernatural abilities like shapeshifting or incredible strength and agility. Some of these stories have been immortalized through literature and popular culture, like Hounds of Baskerville by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle in his Sherlock Holmes mystery. Others are legends that have been passed down over hundreds of years. And so here's the first one, and this is what got me. I was like, okay, cool. We're reading about werewolves now. This is hot. I'm in my zone here. I love it. And it starts with actually shapeshifters, and I was like, oh, that's sweet. Here's our angle tonight. So here's one of the stories. Around 1400, a monk at Byland Abbey in Yorkshire jotted down a series of ghost stories. All right, told by local people. In one tale, a tailor encountered a spirit in the shape of a crow that turned into a dog. All right, a crow that turned into a dog. The frightened tailor prayed for protection, and the dog started talking. Right, the dog talks from a crow into a dog, and now the dog speaks. He had once been a man, the dog said, and had been excommunicated for a terrible crime. He begged the tailor to help free him from his shape-shifting state. But if he refused, the tailor's skin would rot. Hoping to avoid such a horrible fate, the tailor visited all the churches in York and had 180 masses said for the dog ghost. This was enough to release the spirit to heaven. And so there's a very short one to kind of start us out here. But so in this continues, let's just read a little bit more of this to kind of get some more context in what I'm thinking tonight so you guys can see what's happening with this and where my brain's at. Sometimes it's a little hard to track where my brain's at, even for myself. But the article continues here. Reports of ghosts that change shape, usually into birds and dogs, are widespread across Britain. In 1751, a murderer was hanged at Tring in Hertfordshire, only to return in the form of a huge black dog, the size of a Newfoundland, with fiery eyes and viciously sharp teeth. Behind it trailed chains, clanking, as the spectral beast chased innocent bystanders. Eventually, it sank into the earth and vanished. But some say the dog can still be heard rattling its ghostly chain. And so there's a couple to kind of kick us off with the shapeshifter stuff. And like I said, I was like, okay, cool. That's an angle. We haven't talked about shapeshifters as a topic pretty much ever. 3+ years in this show, and it's never been the topic of a show. So I think, why not? It's time. But so just a couple very, very short and amazing stories, kind of insightful about not just where this stuff may come from, but that, not only do we have these stories of, shape-shifting dogs that are maybe cursed, right, from the crow to the dog with some sort of curse that was damned, excommunicated from basically humanhood, from passing on as a spirit into the wherever it happened he was going, whether it was the good place or the bad place or somewhere in between, depending on, of course, whatever you believe. But point being is that this stuff is all over the place. It's all legends, not just in the West, but legends, of course. Native Americans. The shape-shifting is one of those kind of shamanic journey things. Spirit animals and taking the ayahuasca and becoming your spirit animal and things like this. And then, of course, we have tales like very much like the legend of the Skinwalker, which they say the Skinwalker was a shaman of sorts that was cursed, and as part of a conflict between the Ute Indians and the Navajo. And this Skinwalker was cursed to bring revenge upon the particular tribe that enslaved the Navajo. And so the Skinwalker in general is interesting because, especially in the shapeshifter type lore like this, because they say that the Skinwalker can be many things, right? The Skinwalker, of course, can be in a human form. They say that they were actually originally formed from a human shaman that decided to change and do something else. And the way they did that was through, ritual magic, meaning that they would have the hide of a coyote, for instance, and they would be able to wear it like a cape or like clothes, and then as a result of this, through some ritual magic, actually transform into the animal itself, the coyote, right? And I think probably in modern lore, in my opinion, I don't know, like I said, maybe I'm wrong here, but it seems like probably the shapeshifter is the most notorious that I've seen, the most probably popular now, and probably because of the show that's going on right now and all the hype they get, right? I talk about shapeshifters quite often because I think Skinwalker Ranch in particular is pretty intriguing. But the ranch itself is for another time, and maybe another portal conversation or something. But yeah, so you kind of get the idea. So not just with things like this, there are in clearly in pop culture we have. They say that aliens are able to shapeshift in some capacity, right? Meaning that people have claimed that reptilian aliens can actually turn into people and be able to disguise themselves that way. And, people very much like David Icke, right, has claimed that the Queen of England, infamously, let's say, is a shape-shifting reptile. And so, it kind of runs the gamut, this conversation, with not just the shamanic tradition or, a particular place in the world. It really fits with the rest of the phenomena, whatever that happens to be, meaning ghosts, right? Like we have this ghost dog that was a crow, that was a dog that kind of talked his way into having this tailor that he met break the curse so that he would be able to change back into a person and then ascend to heaven or wherever it was he was going. So in any case, that's what's going on tonight. And like I said, this conversation goes where you want it to go. So I'm going to talk about this, and I got lots of stories we can kind of chip at, little small ones like this, and some larger ones as well. And we'll do a bunch of this and talk about this stuff tonight. But most importantly, I want to hear from you. As we do this, the thing I want to hear is, what do you think about these shape-shifting stories? Do you think that it's as always, we're open to all possibilities here, meaning that this stuff may be real, or this stuff may be folklore or mythologies, or not real at all. And so, this show is really agnostic politically, and also with this stuff, we take into consideration that it may be true, and we talk about it and kind of run it through the ringer and see what you guys think. That's really what it's about. So if you want to be part of the show, if you know of a particular shape-shifting story that you want to talk about tonight, or you want to tell me one, or maybe point one out, or what do you think shapeshifters are? Do you think that they're actually real? Do you think this is a thing that people can do through shamanic ritual, as I stated earlier? It seems to be a thing that's very popular in the Native American culture. So I think that there's a lot of that with, and again, not just mythology and all the rest of this, but also pop culture. Loki is one that Night Stalker posted in there. Another one from actually the Marvel universe would be, what's the blue gal's name? Mystique, right? Like the actual, like she has the blue skin, and she's the shapeshifter, and she could turn into anybody, right? She can look like any other individual out there. So that's the type of stuff we're talking about tonight. Again, it doesn't have to be mythological. It could be pop culture, and it could be some other stories that maybe you've heard recently, which I'll get to in a little bit here, of course, because you can't just drop all the good stuff in the first segment of a radio show, for crying out loud. But we'll get to some of that. I've got a particular account that somebody said recently, somebody famous recently said that they encountered a shapeshifter. So we'll get to that as we go tonight, but that's where the conversation begins. And if you want to be part of the show, the number to call tonight is 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can join the Discord at troubleminds.org, and also please join the Discord at fringe.fm/chat. Lots of smart people hanging out, chatting in there, talking about these things, and that's what's going on. That's what's happening here. So as we kind of get ready and get geared up, there's the first segment here of what's going on tonight and what's on my mind. And isn't it strange, the things that happen to be on my mind from time to time? If you ask me, it certainly seems like it. But that's okay. I'll forgive myself, and I hope you forgive me as well. So, like I said, you want to be part of this the show tonight, part of the story as we tell them. We're talking about shapeshifters. And not just the normal run-of-the-mill shapeshifter, the shapeshifters from all over the world, culturally, that goes back to the past and even in pop culture. And what do you think? As always, it's not about what I think. This reality belongs to you. And what do you think? Can this stuff be real? Or are we kind of just fooling ourselves with this hyper-reality type of situation where we kind of are conflating real life with fiction? Do you think that's possible as well? All that is on the table for the conversation. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, and we'll be right back with more talk about shapeshifters after the break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and DLive. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls tonight. If you want to be part of the show, and of course this show tonight, we're talking about shapeshifters. And they could be mythological, they could be pop culture, they could be whatever you want them to be, because of course they're shapeshifters, aren't they? That's what's on deck tonight. That's the conversation as we wait for the UFO report to drop, which did not drop today. So I figured, since we'll probably be talking about aliens tomorrow and UFOs and what the government has to say about all of it, let's talk about something different. And so here we are, talking about shapeshifters. If you want to be part of the show tonight, you have comments on this. The question of the night, of course, is do you think shapeshifters are real? And in some cases, like we said, it's shapeshifting is part of the shamanic journey, as they've said in the past, right? With the whole maybe ayahuasca or the peyote and more of the native tradition where they become their spirit animal and things like this. Again, I'm probably butchering that in a terribly ignorant way, but I'm doing my best here. But you understand that it seems to be a ritual practice where people have believed that this is possible and that it has been possible for a very long time. And so that's what we're talking about tonight. We'll get into some of these and some of these other stories and talk about this as we go. But looking to talk to you. Phone number is up on the stream here. As always, go to troubledminds.org, click the Discord link, and you could also find the phone number right at the top of the website, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And okay, so let's go here. Now, I was kind of looking into this, of course, as I do, and it turns out that it is not just a shape-shifting thing for, of course, like I said as we started here, not really werewolves, but also, for instance, this right here. This is from a website called otherworldlyoracle.com, otherworldlyoracle.com. And it's talking about the occult truth of shapeshifters, werewolves and shapeshifters, which is fantastic. That's exactly what we want to talk about tonight. So I'm going to drop it in all the chats. And like I said, if you guys want to follow along or maybe kind of spur some imagination in you to maybe call me and talk about these things, perfect. There it is. What's up, John in chat says, weirdos represent. What's up, buddy? You're in the right place. You're in the right place. All right, here we go. So the ancient shamans, the original shapeshifters, okay, straight from the article here, it says, to fully understand the origins of shapeshifting, we have to look at our indigenous hunter-gatherer ancestors. Dating back thousands of years to the time before agriculture, there were men and women called shaman who were consulted by their tribes to answer questions about disease, war, and nourishment. Shaman were wise people and worked with herbs and animals to attain outcomes for their people. They were spiritual leaders who crossed the barrier between the physical world and the spiritual. And they were the original shapeshifters. And exactly kind of what we're talking about tonight is so I guess that's one more to add to the wrinkle of the conversation is that is shapeshifting, do you think, a physical phenomena, or do you think that shapeshifting is basically one of those situations where it's more of a mind travel sort of dream state type of thing? Like another one from recent pop culture and Game of Thrones, Arya Stark, right? She had that wolf named Nymeria, and she actually had this connection with this wolf where it was they kind of shared a kind of an unspoken bond, like a more of a shared consciousness from time to time. And then take it a bit further in current pop culture. Bran Stark. If you guys aren't Game of Thrones fans, then you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I'll try and describe it the best I can without spoiling anything. But Bran was what they called a green seer, and so he was able to leave his body and actually inhabit the body of a crow or of a wolf or things like this. So not only was he able to leave his body sort of in the astral sense, in the sort of a kind of a maybe spirit walking, or as this article here describes, maybe leave the physical world into the spiritual world and become something else, become these a different animal, and as we said in maybe the native tradition, a spirit animal. But they called it in Game of Thrones a warg, W-A-R-G, like warging into a form. And so that again, like in modern pop culture, and again, that stuff is all based on ancient stories, because what good modern story isn't based on amazing ancient stories? I mean, if they're doing it right? I mean, if you're doing it right, you gotta have a nice basis for some of these things. But okay, so in any case, that's what we're talking about tonight. And so part of this, again, so that's, we can add that as a wrinkle to the conversation is, do you think that the shape-shifting is like as they describe in a werewolf, it's some sort of affliction? It's a lycanthropy that they get from either being bit by a werewolf or cursed by somebody else, some evil magician or witch or whatever you want to call it. And instead, they actually physically change from a person into this werewolf? Or do you think it's a spiritual thing, part of the spiritual journey, where people actually take again peyote or ayahuasca, things like this, DMT, and actually ascend out of themselves and become part of these spirit animals? Do you think that's there we go? I think that's probably a good wrinkle to kind of throw into the conversation tonight. What do you guys think? Do you think that the shape-shifting stuff is actually real, or do you think that it has something to do with more of like a spiritual journey, spiritual connection type stuff? So that's what's on deck. That's what we're talking about. And let's see where we're at time-wise. We're good. So looking to hear from you guys if you have takes on this, or how about this too? If we'll just throw it out that if you have a favorite shapeshifter, either in mythology or folklore, or in how about in Hollywood or comics or any of the rest of that. Love to hear your takes on this. Like I said, I mentioned Bran from Game of Thrones, warging into wolves and crows and other things, and then also Mystique from the X-Men, the Blue Lady, as you guys remember, was played by Rebecca Romaine Stamos, and then also by Jennifer Lawrence in the younger X-Men. But you get the idea, right? That's what we're talking about tonight, and just looking to hear from you. You want to be part of the show? 702-957-1037, or you can join the Discord. Actually, there's another good one. Night Stalker in the Fringe FM chat says Arya became faceless, where she could change identities as well. So that's very true. If you guys are into Game of Thrones, that's another actual like modern shapeshifter in modern pop culture. So there we go. And also Daryl in the during the break, Daryl actually typed in the chat that what about things being able to change from like a UFO into a helicopter or things like this, like kind of these orb phenomena that we see in the sky, right? And so again, probably a lot of different angles we can take this conversation tonight. But like I said, it depends on you. Wherever you guys want to take it, I'm willing to go, and we're considering if this is real or not. And so number one, do you think this shape-shifting bit is real? And then number two, if it is it a physical thing or a spiritual thing? I think that's probably a good little tree of what ifs to kind of begin this conversation. So one more time, 702-957-1037. You can join the Discord. Also take in your favorite shapeshifters as we get into this. But let's go back to this article for just a sec, because it's too good to just glaze over and pass up like that. So let's go back to this. This is from otherworldlyoracle.com. So one of a shaman's supernatural abilities was shape-shifting. Shaman wore the hide, fur, bones, teeth, or feathers of a certain animal in order to shift forms. And notice this is very much like the skinwalker, like I stated there, is that it kind of depends on which tradition you're really talking about and which area of the world. We'll get into some more as we go, because they're all. I was surprised to find that it was pretty much the world over, basically just like you would expect ghost stories or Bigfoot. How there's the Yeti, the Himalayas, and there's different versions of Bigfoot pretty much all over the world. It's very, very similar here to the Shapeshifters as well. So here we go. So they wore these the hide, fur, bones, teeth, or feathers of a certain animal in order to shift forms. Sometimes it was done as a means to locate the animal for hunting purposes. It was a sort of way to get into the mind of the animal being hunted. For instance, deer or buffalo. Other reasons for shapeshifting were spiritual. To take on the form of the wolf was to become like the wolf, powerful, fast. Other reasons for shapeshifting were spiritual. I actually said that. One could easily slip in and out of the spiritual realms untouched and unfettered. Images of shapeshifting shamans are painted on ancient cave walls in America and Europe. The images of men dressed as animals or men running with animals. So there we go. Like I said, this is pretty good stuff to me. It's kind of opens my mind to a lot of possibilities. And if I was a betting guy, I would say that if you it's at the very least we're talking about a spiritual journey here where people can become like the wolf, right? Let's go a little Duran Duran and hungry like the wolf, or they can go as the crow flies, let's say, right? That old saying. So there's a lot of ways you can really take this as far as if you're a shaman or you're trying to transform into something to gain an advantage or supernatural powers. But I think once you get into the spiritual realm of being able to kind of cross back and forth into and out of that realm as this shape-shifting spiritual type of situation, I think it kind of opens the door a little bit to things like remote viewing, right? And things like actual what else is there? Astral travel. That's what I was looking for. Astral travel, things like this. So I don't know. What's up? Fred says Bigfoot shapeshifts as well. What about is it the Mothman? Does the Mothman shapeshift, or does I'm not even sure. But I think that's the thing, right? Is there's so many stories about this, really, that are modern and also ancient. So let's get into some of these. Let's continue trucking. We're not going to get any phone calls. I'm going to read you some stories. So this is again Troubled Minds, and we're talking about shapeshifters tonight. And do you think it's real? Do you think it's physical? Do you think it's spiritual? And yeah, good stuff. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. So here we go. This is from paranormalauthority.com, and that sounds authoritative, doesn't it? I'm linking our actual sources here, as always, and you guys can check it out. But here we go. Let's see. There we go. Let's put them on all the chats. What's up, guys? I see you there. I see you guys in the chat. Thanks for all the great chat here. All right, so let's go to this. Mark the source, linked it. Let's go to this. This is types of shapeshifters, and this is again from paranormalauthority.com. So as we continue this, and before we get into some of the actual stories of what these shapeshifters might be, very much like we started with a couple quick stories, there are more, of course. There are plenty of stories like this. But here we go. There's types of shapeshifters, they say. So there are multiple types of animals that are common in varying myths, but none so more than the werewolf, which we said. This popular concept is also known as lycanthropy. The ability to turn into a wolf exists in Native American, European, and Canadian cultures, but often seems most heavily used in Norse mythology. You see, the world over, really. And so Loki, the famous Norse god, is said to have turned into a female wolf in order to bear his son Fenrir. The Volsunga Saga is a poem that was written in the 13th century. In it, many mythological characters turn into wolves, both on purpose and by accident. In Scandinavian culture, there also exists the Maras, an entire race of female werewolves. So stories from Trinidad and Tobago also include humans that have the ability to turn into wolves. They are often referred to as the loup-garou, which of course is a French term, another term for werewolf. It's L-O-U-P. And like I said, excuse my French, it's horrible. I don't speak one single word of it. So if I butchered that, well, Oh, well. Oh, well. Sorry, Frenchies. Anyway, it continues. Let's see. It is believed that abilities are handed down from ancient Creole families that practice old African magic, or perhaps even a family member that considers themselves to be a witch doctor. But there are many other types of shapeshifters, varying in appearance, ability, and perhaps most importantly, intent. Here are some examples of humans that change shape for malevolent reasons. And they've got a whole bunch of these. The skinwalkers, the Wendigo, the Ijirak, I think is how you say that, the Oswong, the Kumiho. And interestingly, to note, when I was kind of going through some of this, it did dawn on me that it's very common in Greek mythology for the gods of old, right? Zeus to shapeshift into all kinds of things. And so not just him, many of the other gods of Olympus, right? If you go back and kind of read some of those old stories, and they were shapeshifting into things all the time, right? To kind of hang out in the garden as an animal with, a particularly attractive woman, if you're Zeus, wink, wink, you know what I'm saying? And then he'd turn into Zeus and be like, hey, baby, I've been hanging out here as this goat. And, I say goat facetiously, but it was some, I can't remember the exact tales, but he would do things like this to try and seduce, the maiden fair. So lots of this stuff in Greek mythology as well. So kind of, like I said, really the world over, this is the type of stuff that is not just one place and not just one area and not just one time. So here we go. There's more. What else is here? Let's see. Anyway, like I said, looking here from you guys. What is your favorite shapeshifter out there? And is there? Do you think there's any truth to this? One, physically, do you think it's possible? Do you think werewolves are real? I know it's an old myth, but there are some people that believe that you can be cursed into a werewolf of sorts, right? And do you think that the spiritual journey? How about this? Is anybody out there able to actually do that spiritual shape-shifting journey, kind of like like I said, the shamanic tradition? If anybody can actually do that, that's what I'd love to hear. Let's see, what else do we got? You guys in the chat crack me up. Oh my goodness gracious! I'm not reading that. Okay, so anyway, as we continue here, there's more. But I'd love to hear from you. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and talking about shapeshifting tonight. And what does this mean? Is it fake? Is it real? Is it somewhere in between? Is it a physical thing? Is it a spiritual thing? And there we go. Let's see. Gio says that was actually fairly well pronounced French, Mike. Well, thank you. I swear I don't speak a word of French. I swear. I guess maybe that was my first word. But here we go. Let's go to shapeshifting in Greek mythology for just a sec. Shapeshifting is a common occurrence in early Greek literature and often linked to deities, such as Homer's The Odyssey. In the epic poem, Odysseus's men are turned into pigs, thanks to the goddess Circe. Proteus, a Greek god of rivers and oceans, is also known for his shape-shifting abilities. Gifted with the ability to foretell the future, Proteus was often sought out by gods and mortals alike. He would answer their questions, but only if they happened to catch him first. He would often change shape in order to elude anyone who searched for him. And so I think that that's pretty good stuff, right? I think you go back to Greek mythology. And who doesn't love Greek mythology? Come on. If you don't love Greek mythology, I think you're not human, right? Maybe you are a shapeshifter, but you're posing as a human being instead from your animal form. But in any case, let's see. Okay. Yeah, we got some good chat. Jack says he's a vampire. In the classic Art Bell. Oh, interesting. Tell me more. Tell me more about you being a vampire. All right, so there's, again, more stories here. Shapeshifters in Irish and British mythology. Fairies, witches, and wizards make frequent appearances in Irish and British folktales, and they often have the ability to change their appearances as a plot device. It is believed that many types of fairies were merely limited to creating glamours, also known as temporary illusions to slightly alter their appearance. But many witches and wizards had the ability to shift themselves and others into any shape they wished, be it an animal, a human, or even some type of plant. Witches were believed to turn into hares, sneak onto properties, and steal milk and butter. Hares, of course, rabbits. But there you go. There's a good one. Daryl says in the chat, how about changing water into wine? That's a good one. That goes into deep into our actual current mythology, right? I hate to put it that way. I don't mean it like that, but you understand what I'm saying. Is that clearly it was said that Jesus was able to turn water into wine. So I mean, this is the type of thing, right? Is this stuff real? Is this the stuff of legend? Is it just really a something to chase your tail with, something to, like they say in this article here, which is great, by the way, paranormalauthority.com, fantastic website. If you're into this stuff, then there you go. MJ wants to know, okay, I'll bite. Jack, how long have you been a vampire? Exactly. In the Art Bell tradition. Interesting. Tell me more about being a vampire. Anyway, all right. There's another one too, which is kind of interesting, is shapeshifters in death. So one type of shapeshifting that seems common across multiple cultures and belief systems is that the dead can also assume the shape of an animal, sometimes in order to simply visit their loved ones, but often in an attempt to get revenge on those who killed them. These ghostly visitors often assume the shape of birds, such as a white dove or a white duck. People who often elect to visit their loved ones in this manner were murdered in some particularly gruesome manner. Once no longer living, they attempt to visit loved ones in these shapes, either to say goodbye or in an attempt to let the loved ones know what really happened to them. One story, the White and Black Bride, is a German folktale. And let's see, are we at time-wise? If we can, let's do this one real quick. Well, there you go. There you go. Art Bell was yes, absolutely. Art Bell was amazing. Okay, so here we go. The White and Black Bride. A sorcerer in disguise asks for directions. A mother and daughter refuse to help him, but the stepdaughter does. The mother and daughter are then turned black and ugly, while the stepdaughter is rewarded with eternal beauty and infinite wealth. The king learns of the stepdaughter's beauty and decides to marry her. But the mother enchants the waiting coachman to become half blind, and she curses her stepdaughter to become half deaf. The mother then tricks the coachman to lose his way and bring the stepdaughter to a window, where the mother proceeds to push her out. Upon her death, the stepdaughter hears that the mother has convinced the king to marry her, the Black Bride. The stepdaughter then is able to transform herself into a white duck and begins to talk to a boy who works in the kitchens. When the king hears of a talking duck, he finds it and cuts off her head. But this seemingly violent act transforms the stepdaughter into her ordinary living self again. Thus, the king marries her and kills the Black Bride. There you go. That's a little bit dark, if you know what I'm saying. That's not so great. But this is, again, stories all over, right? With Daryl, a caterpillar into a butterfly. Another one. I like the way you guys think. Let's see. MJ says a shapeshifter in death is called a ghost. There it is. It's called a ghost. Okay, let's go to. We'll actually. Where are we at time-wise? Let's make sure we got enough time. Yeah, we got enough time. Let's take this phone call. All right, you're on Trouble Minds with Mike. What's your first name? Where are you calling from? Testing 1 2. Can you hear me?
Hey, this is Jack calling from Wisconsin. Hi.
Well, what's up, Jack? How are you, my friend?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. We got about a minute left, so if you want to either make it quick or hang on and till after the break, but we got about a minute if you want to go.
I don't need to hang on. I just wanted to report to the people in chat, like they were wondering, like, oh, okay, you're a vampire, you're not a vampire. I'm telling you, if you recognize you're a vampire, do everything you can to retain your teeth, because I'm telling you, your teeth are the first thing that are going to go, basically. So if you want to live as long as you possibly can, like, watch your teeth, because your teeth are the first thing that's going to... I know it's kind of weird, but I figured I would let everybody know if there are vampires out there. So
okay, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, my man. We'll have to get into.
All right, everybody, have a great night. I hope there's some awesome calls.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks, Jack. Thanks for the call. Thanks for kicking us off. There you go. The vampire calls and confirms it. Vampires are real. In the Art Bell tradition? Interesting. Tell me more. Yep. This actually is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, and we're talking about Shapeshifters tonight. And if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. We're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. More talk about this and your calls after the break. We'll be right back.
I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. There are other forces at work in this world, Frodo, besides the will of evil. Bilbo was meant to find the ring, in which case you also were meant to have it. And that is an encouraging thought.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's up? This is the show where we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. We do it on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what are those things we're not allowed to talk about? You know what they are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. We are live. We've always done this show live, even way back in the early days when nobody was listening. And as a result, if you want to be part of the show tonight, you can give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We are streaming on DLive, Facebook, and YouTube. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Please come join the Discord at fringe.fm/chat. And also, you can be on the show using Discord. It's a free voice and chat client. Go to troubledminds.org. Just click on the Discord link, and you're in. Give you a direct invite, and it's completely free as long as you have an internet connection. Tonight, we're talking about shapeshifters. And not just, of course, the shapeshifters of maybe mythology, but the shapeshifters of pop culture. And really the kind of the juxtaposition between the two takes of, are shapeshifters real in a physical sense? Or is it more of like the shamanic tradition of sort of like a spiritual journey? Do you think people can maybe jump into the body of a crow and fly and scout something or things like this, right? Very much like I say, it's kind of in the same area of maybe traveling astrally or maybe some sort of out-of-body experience type stuff. But anyway, that's what we're talking about tonight, and we are taking your phone calls. I'm going to put the phone number up. We have a phone call to take right now, so let's do that, and let's see what's going on. Hello, you're on Trouble Minds with Mike. What's your first name, and where are you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's Derek, the Night Stalker.
Derek, what's up, my man? How are you?
What's going on? Great show tonight.
Thank you.
I'm calling from work, and I'm always trying to just like keep working, but these weird topics, they make me like I have to call in. I can't not call in. So I blame you for my procrastination at work right now.
Perfect. I'm sure you're going to get everything done. You're good. Go right ahead.
Sorry.
You're good. Go ahead.
I got a couple weird, just like connections based on the things you've been talking about. First with Arya from Game of Thrones. You're right with the wolf thing, but also like later on in the series, she joins that like group called like the Faceless Men, where they literally shapeshift their face. Like she can change like her height and all kinds of stuff, and they pretty much just peel off this fake face, and it's like kind of mixed with like, they don't even really explain the origins of it in the story, but it's kind of tied to this mythology. Like it makes you think that are there elites in reality doing this, like with some kind of advanced masking technology or something like that. Well, that was kind of interesting. And you were talking about like who our favorite shapeshifters are, and right now, like you mentioned a few times already, but by far it's Loki because of the show. and stuff. And I think it's interesting, like you mentioned the like the gods coming down and changing to wolves and stuff, like Zeus. I think it's weird that a lot of the times it's to like impregnate people, you know, like that's kind of like the through line between it. It's like, which is like, I don't even know what implications that means. That like, it's kind of a weird connection. Like they have to, like, are these, back in the day, was it more common for these women to be like having sex with animals and stuff? Like, why would they need to change their shape? You know, it's kind of weird, kind of a weird thing.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Continue. Carry on, sir.
But you were talking. There's also real quick. I just want to kind of list off a few of these like comic shapeshifters. Like there's I'm kind of reading up this link right now. First is like the metamorph, which is like what a Mystique is, and she can change to any like live creature, like any like human being or like animal and that kind of stuff. And then there's the micro and megamorph, which is like Giant Man, Ant Man, and like different. You can kind of like shapeshift your size if you stay looking like you, but your size shifts. There's the polymorph, which is like Dr. Fantastic or Mr. Fantastic. You can like shapeshift, like you can like stretch your body. You can like morph into any kind of shape and shapeshift that way. And there's the body morph like Hulk, where you like change your identity, which is kind of like Jekyll and Hyde, like for classic shapeshifting tropes, like which is kind of commenting on like the id. And kind of taking like some kind of substance that like unleashes your like inner inhibitions and like your inner madness, which is kind of like, if you want to be less weird, is probably what these werewolf stories are talking about. But just for the sake of keeping it on the weird, there's also like the omnimorph, which is what Loki is, where you can literally transform into anything, like a serpent, which brings you like in the biblical stuff, because like apparently that serpent might have been something that like shapeshift into a serpent. You know what I mean? So it's like it's really tied to like deception. It seems like in a lot of these different mythologies. And last one real quick before I go. Did you watch The Outsider? The Stephen King show on HBO last year, like in the fall maybe?
I did not know.
By any chance?
No.
I didn't finish it. It was kind of slow. But essentially like there's like somebody who's stealing people's faces pretty much, or like committing crimes like at two places at once basically, and it's like very grounded. It's not really even paranormal until they get to this element of this like shapeshifter, and they call him El Cuco, which is like a Mexican folklore based on somebody who like apparently it's like almost a big mass of like worms or like insects that will steal the DNA of a person via like touch or like scraping somebody or something, getting a little bit of their DNA, and then they can wear it and change their shape to like imitate that person. And any DNA that's found on the scene, it's theirs because they're matching the DNA completely. And this apparently, like in the show, they give a bunch of different examples of like parallel El Cuco mythologies from all around the world. And it's like similar to Pennywise, in that it feeds off emotions, but in this case, it feeds off of sorrow. And apparently, it's like pervasive. It's kind of like the Skinwalker, but he like was never a human. He like exists in the dark space or like the void, and it's like a strictly paranormal entity that like kind of comes out from the shadows and has been feeding on people forever. And they explain it like almost it's a virus. Like every person affected by this is like a chain of custody where you have to be touched by the next person, and it like the implications are like all kinds of like heinous crimes and things like that are not actually, and people who like, believe they're innocent and in jail and that kind of stuff, they didn't actually do it. The person who did it was a shapeshifter stealing their identity so they can like feed off the grief and sorrow that's caused by pretending to be somebody that they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, so I think that, yeah, I'm with you. So it's, there's a kind of a lot there. I've seen that spirit touching thing where you pass it on from person to person, right? With, what was that show? With
it's like a virus
Washington.
Almost,
yeah, exactly. Interesting. No, I've never seen that. So you quit watching it. Why? Because it was bad? What happened?
It was a little bit, it was kind of slow. Like it could have been 5 episodes instead of 10. So I stopped on 7. It was just getting good, but there's just too much content out there.
Gotcha.
Not enough mythology, you know?
Gotcha.
But apparently it's like based on a real thing, El Cuco, and it's like not just in Mexico. I guess every legend kind of has this grief eater, they call it, which like feeds on the sorrow caused by him like creating mischief and pain while wearing the face of somebody else. You know, which I think is like a weird shape-shifting thing. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
But, sorry Sorry for rambling. I just wanted to get that all out quick before
No, you're cool.
I go back to work.
You're cool. Well done as always.
Great show.
Thank you. I appreciate the call. We'll talk to you soon, my friend. That's Derek from Massachusetts, a Night Stalker. Get your work done, bro. Get to work. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Have a good night. There you go. We're taking your phone calls, guys. Fantastic stuff from the Night Stalkers as always there, and a lot of good points, a lot of good things there that we're talking about shapeshifters tonight, and always bringing the details. This guy, very knowledgeable about esoterics and mythology and all the rest of this stuff. But a lot there, right? There's kind of a lot to talk about. The Incredible Hulk, some of this stuff, kind of stealing people's identities to commit crimes or things like this. Lots and lots of in pop culture. But again, right? So that it takes us back to the core of the conversation: is do you think it's real? Do you think that because there's so many mythologies the world over that have been describing these things for thousands of years, these shapeshifters, do you think it's a real physical thing, kind of like back to the werewolf for a second, or do you think it's something a little more spiritual, where people take the this or the that or the other thing? And let's see, Yeah, go ahead, Bailey. I see your message there. Okay, so anyway, we have another phone call. So we're taking your phone calls tonight, talking about shapeshifters, and the deal is this: do you think it's real? Do you think that what's your favorite shapeshifter of either pop culture, fiction, mythology, or maybe you're a shapeshifter? Maybe you can call in and tell us you're a shapeshifter. Like we had Jack say he's a werewolf, a vampire. No problem at all. And I'll do my best Art Bell and say, interesting. Tell me more. But taking your phone call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord to be on the show. And let's go to Matt in California. Matt, you're on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Good. How's it going, Mike?
Doing very well. What is on your mind tonight?
Calling up about talk about shamanism.
Okay, sweet.
So and shamanism, it's like, I started studying shamanism. It's like ancient. It's cavemen were doing this, and if you take like cultures like in witchcraft and shamanism and even Native American tradition, if you strip away the culture, you'll start to find like these roots, these like similarities that all kind of connect and go together. How a shaman, their role is they live on the outside of the towns, and people will go to them for like spiritual advice and healing and things like this. And the shaman would use, like plant magic, spirit magic, stone like magic, and animal magic to, do things in the spiritual world, and then to bring change in the physical world. So they would like heal and do things like that. And so it's all kind of connected back to the roots of shamanism. And so I just started getting into it, reading it, and all this. And there's these books I have, and then they have like a CD companion, like a meditation. You like listen to the CD with headphones, and you do the meditations. And they have like ones where it's not physically, you don't physically transform. You're like, it's like sympathetic magic. You're like trying to get into that animal's like kind of blend with that animal to learn the magic of the mysteries of it. And so the first thing you do is you find your spirit animal. That's a whole show. We could talk about that. But you find your spirit animal, and then so mine's an owl, and you make a mask, like a paper mache or whatever your it's like your hobbies, whatever you can do, a paper mask. And then you, kind of like you see like in the Native American cultures, they like dressed up like the birds or whatever animal they're trying to get power from, and they would dance around like a ritual. And then you lay down and do the meditation. And so in these meditations, it's not, aren't physically changing into anything. It's kind of like in a trance state, like a dream that you remember. So you're just meditating. Okay. And so go ahead.
I'm with you. I'm following. This is fascinating. So you've actually you've done this? You've tried this?
Yeah. Like I said, there are CDs that go. They're like meditation. There's all kinds of guided meditations. That's what they're called out there that can help you guys do this if you're interested in it. And so the first things that I see in my visions is that I'm like I'm on the ground. I'm running in a forest, and I'm following an owl. And so in a lot of stories, like great stories, you'll notice that most of them happen because people follow an animal. Like there's an animal somewhere in these stories that like lead the heroes to the event, or lead the heroes to meet each other, I guess. Does that make sense? There's stories where they follow an animal. And so, then I'm following this owl, and then I start to feel that I'm lighter, and I become an owl, and I'm like, flying above the trees, and just noticing everything in like a totally different sense of like how an owl would feel, like seeing the bugs, or seeing, like bugs as food, and seeing like the currents of the wind that I could like fly on. And yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff. You can do that.
Yeah, that's pretty good stuff.
Shamans can transform into any animal. It doesn't have to be your spirit animal or whatever. It's basically whatever. Like you'll know what to transform into, like judging on what the next, like, I guess, complication is. Like if you need to climb a tree, you can turn to a bear. Like whatever the situation is, you'll change into that, and they'll change into that animal. That's what the shamans do.
Okay, so is it more a spiritual thing, sort of an out of body experience, or is it a physical thing? Do you think there's people that actually change into sort of like the skinwalker? They say with the hide of a coyote could change into a coyote or a wolf or things like this.
I guess it could be both. Not saying that it can't be physical. It totally could be out there. But what I'm talking about is spiritual, more like I said, it's like in a trance. You don't physically get turned into an animal, because you think about like a werewolf, how much that would suck to like break all your bones and transform into a werewolf.
Yeah, right.
Or like
exactly.
The Hulk, ripping out of his clothes.
Yeah, totally.
So it's more of like in your mind. Okay, it's not what I'm talking about is physical, but yeah, there's all kinds of stories out there with the werewolf. And of course, we talk about werewolves. You gotta talk about vampires. And there's that the chupacabra. That's like pretty close, the closest thing I could think of to a legit, like, real vampire. I've never seen any real vampires or real werewolves before, but hey, I'm not saying they're not out there.
Right, exactly.
I've never seen one.
so cool.
These stories, what I'm saying, these stories had to come from somewhere, is what I'm saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's totally true. So, I appreciate your elaborating on how maybe some of this ritual stuff happens, and then it turns into again back to that shamanic journey, right? So it's not just about maybe like a spiritual way to kind of connect to nature. It's also a way to, as you said, maybe explore what these animals are about and connecting more directly with a particular entity. I like it, man. I've never heard the specifics about making the mask and all that stuff yourself, and kind of doing the rest of that. Can you give me like a 30-second brief on how you would find your spirit animal? I'm just kind of curious how I would where I would begin here. Just where I would begin.
Well, I mean, if you have your favorite animal, so like if you have, say, a ladybug sticker and a ladybug shirt and a ladybug poster, I'm gonna say your spirit animal's a ladybug.
Okay,
and your spirit animal could be anything. Even if, like, say, like you're in Vegas, I'm pretty sure you don't see whales very often, but because there's no ocean. But like if you, like I said, if you have a whale poster and a whale sticker, and your favorite animal's a whale, they talk about whales a lot or learn about whales.
I see.
Then your spirit animal's a whale.
I see. So it kind of has a way of sort of like manifesting as your favorite thing, sort of like your favorite whatever happens to be, and then you kind of maybe even inadvertently have these things, these trinkets or these things that maybe signify that is your spirit animal. Okay. All right. I appreciate it, man.
So for me, wherever I lived, I've always had owls around me, in the trees and flying around at night. So I always have, like, they're screech owls, whatever you call them. I've always had owls around me. So yeah, that too. And then all of a sudden, then I started collecting owl posters and stickers and things, So that's how I found out. But you can have multiple spirit animals too. But you usually have like a primary one that you're like drawn to. If you like to learn about that animal, then that's your spirit animal.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
And there's power there. If you can learn about this power of the animal, you could bring it back and have that power. So like an owl is wisdom. So whatever you can just look it up on the internet, type in your animal. What does this animal mean? Is it a spirit animal? And it'll tell you, all the, if it's a horse, you like to run, or, things like that.
Sure. Okay. Cool. I think that's probably something we'll have to do an entire show on in the coming days here. As always, Matt, I appreciate it, man. Amazing stuff tonight. Thank you for the call. Anything else while we got you on the phone?
No, just like I said, it's an ancient thing. So it's all connected. Go back to like the roots of, if you look at shamans, like this was like on caveman wall paintings. Like this is how old this is.
Yeah, exactly. Like they do depict this in cave paintings. I mean, literally back to the ancient days of humans.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, and also even though I'm talking about shapeshifting, sorry, the skinwalkers terrify me. I don't like skinwalkers.
Right? Remember, we had that guy on the show that said he saw a skinwalker, man. Yeah, that it horrifies me that they're out there trying to find him and they're finding all this anomalous stuff. We'll keep an eye on that as well.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the call. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for listening. Thanks for participating. Thanks for the phone call. Always great stuff.
Thank you, Mike. Bye.
Thanks, bro. Have a great night. That's Matt from California. Always good information from Matt as well. Like I said, right? This is a conversation that includes you. And as we do this, the conversation goes wherever you want it to go. So we started with shapeshifting. We're on to spirit animals a little bit, and we have another phone call. Let's go to, it looks like John. John in Pennsylvania. You're on Trouble Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Mike. It's good to actually get a chance to talk to you.
You as well. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, well, we you know how you were talking about shamanism and spirit animals and everything. That was sort of interesting. I have a story where I had seen something shapeshift, but at the time it was happening, I was in an altered state of mind. So, touching on the DMT, the hallucinogenics, the psychedelic aspect of shamanism and all these people that have seen things happen, our minds have the ability to manifest reality by the way it perceives stimuli. So like at the time when it happened to me, I heard what I would consider to be like a chain or like a dog collar or something behind me walking, and I looked over my shoulder and I assumed that there was a dog walking behind me. So my mind, it decided that it was a dog behind me, and I heard the dog walk around the back of the couch and then walk into the living room, and it looked just like a normal dog. It looked like like a Rottweiler with a big choke collar on, and he stood and he made a goofy look as he looked around at everybody in the room like a dog normally would. But at that time also where I was like going to call the dog over because I wanted to pet it, I remembered and realized there's no dog here. Nobody has a dog. And the dog, just like out of like a CGI in the movie, it morphed into a person standing in the middle of the room. So like I would say that a lot of the experiences and maybe the ideas that came from people seeing these types of things, maybe it was manifested by ourselves, like our mind, from like just weird things they saw in the woods. Like maybe they thought they saw a bear, but it wasn't a bear. It was a person. Like I think it's all just misperceptions, but we can manifest realities. So it's very possible that our thought process and some form of quantum entanglement or something of the sort manifests the ability for physical shape-shifting. Like, did I at that moment shape-shift another person, or did I just perceive that I saw a shape-shifting?
Right, I got you. Music means we got to go, so we got about 30 seconds, but I appreciate the story, man. So do you think that it's a physical thing, spiritual thing, or somewhere in between?
I think it's definitely somewhere in between. Like, do we manifest it and make it a reality, or is it just something that we're perceiving?
Right on. I appreciate it, my man. We got to go. Hate to cut you short. Please call back. Love to hear new callers. I know you're always out there listening. Appreciate it, my friend. That's John from Pennsylvania. And we're talking about shapeshifters tonight. Looking to hear your story. Have you seen these things? Do you think they're real? Great calls tonight, as always, guys. Thank you so much. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More conversation after the break.
The truth is out there, and so are we. KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and tonight we're talking about shapeshifters. And so, is it a spiritual thing? Is it part of the shamanic journey? Is this mythology? Is it phony? Is it real? As always, the conversation is agnostic. You decide. I'm not trying to make you believe one thing or the other. It's just pretty interesting that we have some of these shape-shifting stories go all the way back to mythology, all the way back to Zeus, shape-shifting in the garden, trying to hit on the good-looking young ladies hanging out. You know what I'm saying? Wink, wink. If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can be part of the show. Tell us your story. If you've seen a shapeshifter, if you've never seen one, but you have a take on what you think they might be. Is it real? Is it spiritual? Is it none of the above? Are we trying to fool ourselves? Taking all calls, and you're up. You're up. If you're out there listening, you are up. And by the way, we are streaming on Facebook, D-Live, and YouTube, broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we're just hanging out. We're doing our thing. We're talking about weird stuff. We're talking about things that typically people don't talk about, and that's kind of what makes this show in my mind anyway. Well, it is in my mind decent, or decent. I think you can give us a decent plus if you're being polite, but that's the deal. Is this shape-shifting phenomena a like in modern times you would say that if you point to a particular legend of a shapeshifter, you could talk about the skinwalker, right? And so, of course, the skinwalker, like we said, is a shaman of sorts that was able to take these animal skins and wear them and actually change into the animal that the skin he was using. Coyotes in particular, or a wolf possibly, or a bear, whatever they had access to. And so that's the type of stuff. Is this real? Or is this, again, some sort of like more spiritual sort of situation where they could turn into maybe, let's say, a ghost version of the animal type of thing, and maybe travel out of body as the animal, right? Like you could say, like I said earlier, as the crow flies type of thing, and maybe be able to travel in ways that normal people could not, because, we're stuck walking and all the rest of that stuff. So anyway, that's what's on deck tonight. That's what we're talking about, and some great calls already. But also, right, there's a lot of shapeshifters in pop fiction. We've had, as Kelly mentioned, Arya Stark there, of the Faceless Man, right? That whole bit. If you guys are into Game of Thrones, and I mentioned earlier also Bran Stark, the warg, who was able to actually kind of take over the bodies of particular animals, and that's a perfect example of as the crow flies. In that instance, it's the three-eyed crow. So a lot of stuff here, not just pop fiction, but going back to skinwalkers and in current times, or werewolves, and maybe some ancient mythologies or stories, things like this. I think it's good stuff. I think this is one of those ones that kind of can go like I said, 100 different ways with the conversation. So let's see, there's more here. Let's go to let's look at some of this stuff. Let's see, what do I have pulled up here? Here's a good example, right? There's a whole list of these on. This is from listverse.com, and Listverse does a hell of a lot of good work, by the way. If you guys haven't seen this website, and we have a friend of ours that actually writes a lot of this stuff on Listverse. He goes by the name Marcus Louth. Now, he didn't write this particular one, but he's been on the show before. A long time ago. We should try and get him back on the show at some point. But there's a lot of authors that contribute to this website here, and they do their research. They know a lot about this stuff when they put it out there. So I appreciate it a lot. But there's another example of just 10 mythological creatures and shapeshifters, right? And here's number 10. It's called Leshy, as a male woodland spirit in Slavic mythology believed to protect wild animals and the forest. They usually appear as tall men, but have the ability to change size and shapeshift into any form, animal, or plant. Good stuff there. Here's another one, number 9, Selkie. Selkie. A Selkie. Selkies are creatures found in Faroese, Icelandic, Irish, and Scottish mythology. They have the ability to transform themselves from seal to human form. Selkies are able to shapeshift by shedding their seal skin, a risky endeavor because they must reapply the same skin in order to return to the seal form. The stories surrounding these creatures are usually romantic tragedies. So there you go. There's just a couple examples of this. We can look at some of these things. And I gotta say, it reminds me a little bit of like the Monster Manual. Anybody play Dungeons and Dragons out there? It reminds me a little bit of that, right? Where you get some of these things, and it's cool stuff. This is again, I think some of the best things, some of the best stories, in my opinion, are the old stories, right? It's the old stories that kind of, I hate to say regurgitate, because that's kind of a derogatory term in the sense of retelling stories, but they kind of resurface, right? Very much in like Game of Thrones. If you do it right and you use some of the old mythologies, I think you can actually do a fantastic job telling stories today. But so that's the question tonight. So we're kind of discussing this stuff: the skinwalkers, the shapeshifters, the werewolves as they change from people to the werewolf form, things like this, right? But are there actual cases recently? So we had John there calling with a story of like him actually visually seeing a person change from a dog into a person, right? Now, admittedly, he said there were some possible, chemical induced brain stuff going on, possibly, but still. This is the type of thing, right? Is anybody out there seen a shapeshifter of any kind? And have you heard any stories of this happening recently? I think that's part of the gig tonight. But this is a little crazy. This one's a little crazy if you guys haven't seen this. And I'm going to link the article as usual. But this is one that happened in the last couple years here. This is from 2018, right? And this. You guys may have heard this one. Stop me if you heard this one. Actually, don't, because, well, I'm on the radio, so don't stop me. Don't stop me. But here we go. Check this out. Have everybody heard of Billy Corgan? Billy Corgan? Remember this guy? The lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins, right? So check this out. This guy, he actually said back in 2018, and I think actually it was a little bit before that, but he said this. This is from the article on avclub.com, and let's see. For those who may not remember the strange reflections of a 90s alt-rock king, last October, Billy Corgan stopped by the Howard Stern show, and during the ensuing interview announced he had seen a shapeshifter. Do you guys remember this? We played this back when it happened, and we played the clip. I tried to find the clip, I couldn't find it. But in any case, it's good enough. He definitely said it, and I thought the article would work here. So let's go with this. So he was awfully cagey on details at the time, simply saying he was with someone at one point, and then suddenly you turn around and there's somebody else standing there. And that's a quote. Leaving us to wonder about the circumstances of such a supernatural encounter. Our curious minds unfulfilled. This week, Corgan returned to Stern's show with the rest of the Smashing Pumpkins in tow, and he offered up another tidbit of the 100% real experience. And this is back to, again, 2018. In the above clip from the Howard Stern show, the host presses Corgan on the story with, it's William, now not Billy. He changed his name, of course, because, when we're young, we go by Mike, and then we get old and we're like, call me Michael. Right? Anyway, he says this. Billy Corgan says this. William Corgan, says, the story is even more fantastical than you think. Despite the singer informing Stern he'll tell him all the details privately off the air, Stern keeps pushing. Howard Stern, of course, right? One of the boorish radio type guys. And he says this. I want to make news again with you, and leading Corgan to make the following admission. Check this out. Billy Corgan says this. The person was naked. And so he says, so clearly, it seems like maybe he was engaged in sexual relations, let's say. We'll use the Bill Clinton term. I did not have sexual relations with that shapeshifter, right? But in this case, apparently Billy Corgan did. And so, needless to say, it doesn't take long for Stern to make the obvious inference. Wait a second. Were you in bed with the shapeshifter? Were you making love, he asks? An understandable jump given the few circumstances in this modern world in which we're alone with another naked individual. This is a great article. Corgan continues to avoid confirming or denying, bored by the chore of saving face, you might say, as Stern presses him to admit it was a lover. Undaunted by the stonewalling, Stern pulls in Corgan's bandmate James Iha, I-H-A, I think it's Iha, who is likely trying so hard to cleanse the regrets of having to weigh in on the issue. What do you think it is, he asks, which Iha diplomatically replies, I have no idea. So this has actually kind of come out a couple different times with Billy Corgan talking about seeing this actual shapeshifter. All right. And so it was, for whatever reason, we can maybe assume, was it chemically induced? I don't know. But I mean, if you're actually having, let's say, I did not have sexual relations with that shapeshifter, if that's going on, like, you would probably know who you were, getting down with, right? I mean, you would expect that it's not, you don't get busy with somebody and it turns into somebody else. So you would expect that the person he started this act with was somebody familiar to him. But then suddenly he turns away and then turns back and he says that this person changed into somebody else. So what in the world is going on with this, right? So this is one of those ones that, like I say, when you talk about shapeshifters and you talk about not just the mythology, not just pop culture, like great stuff from all the callers tonight, the shamanic journey, pop culture stuff, actual eyewitness accounts, we've got this. Like, this is another modern eyewitness account from a very famous person that says, oh, by the way, I actually I witnessed a shapeshifter. And it happened, and I turned my back and turned around, and it was like, what the heck? It was a person, and then it was a different person, when I turned around and then turned back around. So I mean, these are the things, right? So was for lack of a better term, was Billy Corgan high AF? You know what I'm saying? Or is this something that is happening out there? Was it some sort of situation where an entity of sorts was trying to get close to a famous person, right? By doing whatever this shape-shifting ritual sort of situation was. I don't know. But as far as I'm aware, no further details from this story has actually come out since. But it is a modern tale of somebody actually visually saying, I saw somebody actually change from one person to another. And so kind of it fits into the things of what we're talking about tonight, because holy smackerel, right? Like, we got a shapeshifter going on, and Billy Corgan saw one. And so not only that, right? He said it first on the Howard Stern show, and then when they came back months later, he doubled down. He didn't change his mind. He said, no, that really happened. That this is not something that I'm trying to make up for clicks or press or any of this stuff. It actually went down. And he was kind of so oddly enough, the weird part about this is he has not let the identity of this person out, as far as I'm aware. So if you believe Billy Corgan, of course, the singer of the Smashing Pumpkins, he says there's shapeshifters out there running around in the world, and he saw one with his own eyes. So that's the conversation tonight. What do you believe in this? Do you think he was maybe a little bit too much into edibles that night and was seeing some crazy stuff? Or do you think that who knows? Who knows? I mean, maybe this is real. Maybe this is a real physical thing. Maybe it's a sort of a ritual, spiritual, magical thing, sort of, that the person was able to maybe change into something else to his perception, right? Maybe they didn't change. Maybe he perceived that they changed based on some sort of let's say, magic of sorts. I don't know. Like I said, those things are not my expertise. I can't conjure anything other than a OK Plus radio show sometimes. But other than that, I don't know. Like these are the types of things that we kind of kick around as part of this conversation, because I don't know what this means. I mean, if people actually see these things and they're out there, John called and said he saw one. He's he can't be sure it was not a physical thing, but definitely he perceived it as a dog that turned into a person, right, in a place where a dog really shouldn't have been. So who knows? Like, this is the type of stuff that's going on out there, and what's actually going on? I don't know. You tell me. But that's the conversation tonight. What do you guys think? What is your favorite shapeshifter of maybe mythology or of pop culture? Or do you have a story? Maybe you've seen something like John saw, or maybe like Billy Corgan saw, right? And not to say that Billy Corgan's going to be any better story than anybody else, but everybody knows who the guy is. So it's one of those situations where he's kind of got something to lose, right, by telling that story. So who knows? Who knows? But he did. This is a real thing. He told the story on the Howard Stern show, and we played the clip way back when. I'd play it, but I think so. It was on that page there, but I think that there's like copyright considerations for it because that's Sirius Radio and all that. So anyway, whatever. But so Billy Corgan, there's another one that actually saw. He actually says he saw an actual shapeshifter. So that's what we're talking about tonight. That's what's going on. Let's see. John says I think he actually banged it as his story went. Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. He actually, yeah. So I think that's the thing. Like he actually turned around, and this individual, whoever it was, had changed from one person to another, and he did have sex with this individual. I believe was the implication there. So it didn't deter him. So maybe it was a kinky game for all I know. So anyway, that's what we're doing. That's what we're talking about tonight. Talking about shapeshifters, and back to the alien thing, right? If you go back to V, you remember that old 80s episode or 80s miniseries that had the reptile aliens that kind of had like their face covered with like human skin. They weren't actually able to shapeshift, but they were actually able to have some sort of thing disguise their reptilian features and turn it into a human form, very much like the Faceless Man stuff from Game of Thrones, which is fantastic, by the way. Is that book ever going to come out? Does anybody know? When is that book coming out? It's been like 11 years or something since the last book. Come on, guys. Come on. Somebody tell that guy to get to work. But okay, so anyway, looking to hear from you guys tonight. Got a few more minutes here on Fringe for the last segment. If you have a take on this and you want to give us a call. You know what to do. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Join the Discord if you have not. Go to troubledminds.org and click the Discord link. And let's go. Let's see if there's another quick story we can shoehorn in here about shapeshifters. Hopefully not shapeshifters that are having sex with Billy Corgan, because, well, we already did that. We totally already did that. Here we go. This is another good one. This is a website called mythicalrealm.com. More of a list type thing, but there's a lot of shapeshifters from different cultures. Like I said, kind of the world over. And this is good stuff to me because it's not exactly one place. It's not like it all originated from the same area or the same time. It's that these people were actually, it's been sort of a legend for a very long time. So let's go take a look at this real quick. This is again from mythicalrealm.com. And so here's some actual real actual stories about shapeshifters the world over. So in Argentina, they have a fox-like werewolf called the lobizón, as well as were-jaguars known as the Runa uturunga. And so, of course, right, we know when they're werewolves or were-jaguars, they are people that change into these maybe anthropomorphic type in between, right? In between an animal and a human with the forms. There's Brazil, Bulgaria, Canada. Let's go to Canada. Canada, it says Bear Walker is from First Nations folklore of that area. It's an evil sorcerer who walks around in the form of a bear. And there it is. There's a shapeshifter from Canada. What's another one? Let's go to one that I can actually say here. Chile's is from, they call it the Chon Chon, is a shapeshifter, is a Kalku, a sorcerer that transforms into a mythical bird that announces bad luck. It has the shape of a human head with feathers, talons, and big ears that it uses as wings. Let's see, what else? They got them all over. China, Ethiopia, Morocco, Tanzania, France. The loup-garou, which we talked about, is prevalent in France, with the beast of Gavaudan being the most famous documented case. Which, of course, is part of, if you've never seen the movie called, what is it, Pack de Loup, I can't remember. It's funny, I know the French name, and I don't know the American name of the movie, but it was a werewolf movie, and about a true story about this actual incident that happened with a werewolf terrorizing a particular area in France back, I think it was the 1850s, 1860s when this went down. So anyway, like you see, there's stories of this kind of the world over. We got Greece. They call the Vraikolaka is a catch-all word for werewolf, vampire, or sorcerer. The word lycanthropy from the ancient werewolf king Lycaon originated here. We got Haiti, Iceland, India. India, of course, let's go to the Dungeons and Dragons for you fans out there. The Rakshasa, or Ragosh, is a shifter who can change into any animal it wants and is characterized by its large size and color of hair, which is red or blonde hair. And ancient Indian mythology tells of Naga, snakes that can sometimes assume human form. And so, of course, right, again, look at this. This list goes on and on and on. You name it. Mexico, the Nahual is a were creature that can turn into a wolf, large cat, eagle, or bull. The native Hawaiians, there are several shape-shifting legends out of the Hawaiian Islands, including the famous volcano goddess Pele. Well, right? Many people heard of Pele, who could shift into whatever appearance she wanted. There are also several shark shifter legends. We got Normandy, France, Norway, Sweden, all kinds of stuff. Panama. In Panama, Tula Vieja has been and continues to be sighted in Panama on a regular basis. The creature takes the form of a very, very old woman or witch with a crow's foot for a right hand. This child-eating shifter haunts all places dark and dismal, waiting to take anyone back to hell with her that she can get her claw or hand on. Crazy stuff, right? The world over. Look at this huge list. They got them in Russia, Serbia, Scandinavia, Slovakia, South America, and these are old stories. And so when we start looking at this type of thing and considering that it's really all over the world, kind of makes you wonder, right? Is this just, again, overactive imaginations of ancient people? Or is there something more to it than this? Who knows? Which, again, is part of the conversation, part of the questions, and part of what we do on this show. Like I said, I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. You guys believe what you want to believe. And I hope at the end of it, you had a good time and you had a fun conversation to kind of maybe open your mind in some different areas, things that maybe you forgot, some ancient legends, some other things, and maybe inspire you to play some Dungeons and Dragons, because that's always a fun time. So in any case, as we kind of wind this up, you guys know the drill, right? We do this show on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. We broadcast it live on the Fringe FM. Thanks again to Joe Roop for allowing us to be on the station here. It's been a lot of fun, lots of great people we've met, and lots of great broadcasts so far. Looking forward to plenty more here. And so we're gonna do a special stream tomorrow night, because we're expecting tomorrow sometime during the day, I hope, an actual stream, an actual release about the 6-month UFO report. And so if that hits tomorrow, we're going to do a special stream where we talk about that specifically and go through it page by page and read it ourselves instead of having the press translate, spin it, and then regurgitate the garbage they want us to believe. So we'll do that tomorrow, and that's a special stream. We normally don't do a Friday night stream, but we'll be doing that tomorrow night. And we're at the end of this tonight on Fringe FM. If you guys enjoy this type of show, you know what to do. Just share it, spread the word, have people come listen and hang out and find out that there's more to listen to out there than that garbage BS political red and blue stuff that everybody's always talking about. Division rhetoric is not my thing. I don't like it. I think we can have a good conversation and get along with each other, and that's what this show's always been about. At the end, if you're listening to Troubled Minds on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on Facebook, YouTube, or DLive, we got one more hour of Troubled Minds. And we're going to keep talking Shapeshifters and doing our thing, taking your phone calls. At the end of this, thank you again. I appreciate all of you spending your time with us. Like I always say, you could be doing a million things right now, and you're spending it with us. So thank you for that. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. are off of the radio now, and we have another hour to just kind of hang out and do our thing and talk about weird stuff like we always do. Tonight, the topic is shapeshifters. What is your favorite shapeshifter from pop culture? What is your favorite mythology? Do you have a story to tell? Have you actually seen somebody or something change shape? What do you think about the shamanic journey and the spirit animals and maybe assuming the form of a particular animal? All this is kind of on topic tonight, and but you know, this conversation goes where you want it to go. So we're taking your phone calls if you want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. At this point, taking a 2-minute break. We'll be right back with another hour of Troubled Minds. Do your thing. Grab a snack, top off your drink, put the kids to bed, hit the restroom. We'll be back in 2 minutes with more Troubled Minds. Don't go anywhere. All right. Is that 2 minutes? It's got to be close, right? Good enough. If it's good enough for me, it's going to have to be good enough for you. Because I'm back, and you can't stop me. You can only hope to contain me. What's up? Anton says, favorite shapeshifter would have to be the Thing. And that's another good one. A regular dude turns into like that monster with the kind of armored skin, kind of rock or whatever that thing was. So looking to hear from you guys. What is your favorite shapeshifter? What kind of... How real do you think this is? Kind of going back into the mythology and the folklore of this. Like we said, there's modern day stuff. There's we had the guy on the show that was from Navajo Nation, and he actually said he saw with his own eyes a skinwalker. So he says, right, there are people that say these things actually exist. And we've got stories of the huge wolf at Skinwalker Ranch that they shot from close range with a shotgun type thing. And it didn't actually respond like it got shot. And then when it finally retreated, it just paw prints disappeared in the dirt, like it vanished. So there's some weird stuff, right? There's some weird stories that, if they're to be believed, then this might be real, right? I mean, this could be real in some capacity. I wonder. Reading some chat, going to catch up on this, guys. What's up? Let's see. Benjamin says, one night I was walking and two people screamed as they were approaching me in the dark. What does that mean? John says, did you hear that there is a dwarf planet on its way towards us from the Oort cloud? I did hear that. Supposed to look pretty big when it gets closer. I did hear that it's supposed to get as close as Jupiter to Earth or something like that. Which clearly not in the, it's not going to hit Jupiter or anything. But I did see that. I did see that news. It's pretty cool. What else do we got? That's Facebook. Let's see what else is going on. Let's see. Bailey says, the theory I found most interesting is that they actually engineered our DNA to make it so they could use technology to change how we perceive them. But non-humans still see them normally. Is that talking about aliens or shapeshifters or both? I'm not sure what you mean there. What's up, Ted? How you doing? Anton, what's up? What's up, guys? We got Jay. We've got, who did I miss? All right, Fred, have a good night, man. Thanks for hanging out with us. Who else is out there? Who else is in the chat? Who did I miss? Matt says, I forgot to say, if you see any animal 3 times, that is a sign of your spirit animal. There it is, right? What's up, Caesar? How you doing? I see you in the chat. Welcome. Thanks for showing up tonight. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let's see. What's up, Penny? Welcome back. Just eating. Let's see. Who else is here? I love Smashing Pumpkins, says Matt. So do I. I think Smashing Pumpkins is great. Probably my favorite song by them is Muzzle. You guys know the song Muzzle? Yeah, Muzzle. Fantastic song. Let's see. What else? Dungeons and Dragons. Remember the Rakshasa from India? It's got the tiger head. You guys remember? Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. What's up, guys? Lazy Guy. We got, let's see, my MJ. What's up, guys? All right, Tommy Boy, thanks for being here. Okay, so we're going to continue talking about this. If you guys want to be part of the show, you know what to do. 702-957-1037. You can also join us in the Discord and be part of the show that way. And we're just hanging out, talking about some of this stuff. And there's more. There's more stories, of course. There's a ton of these from that Listverse article. There's a ton of these from the Mythic Realm and some other things. But as always, I prefer to hear from you. So I'll read some of this stuff and kind of go through some more information to kind of pack it with some good data, some good stories, some good things that maybe you guys hadn't heard of before. But like I said, I prefer to hear from you guys. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And there it is. There it is. No problem at all. Let's keep on trucking. Let's talk about more of this stuff. Let's go to let's see some more. We were on that list as we ended on Fringe there. Let's go back to this list real quick. I'm going to link this in the chat again so you guys can check it out. But it is a very very cool what do you call it? The list of which shapeshifters the world over, and old actual myths from different mythologies from all over the world. What's up, Caesar says it's Veronica's birthday. Can we get a shout out? Happy birthday, Veronica. Thanks for spending your birthday with us. Make sure it's a special one. And don't forget, demand all the things you don't normally get on your non-birthday. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks, Caesar, for pointing it out. Happy birthday to Veronica out there. All right, so let's see. We got, who else? There's tons and tons of stuff here. So Indonesia, Bali, they say, Bali, I'm sorry. They say leek or layak, L-E-Y-A-K, is a spirit that shapeshifts into humans, animals, or objects and will cause mishaps, illness, or even death. Let's see. We did the Ireland and Scotland. We talked about the Selkies. Italy, the Lupo Manero or Lycantropo is an Italian werewolf. The Benedonti were werewolves that left their physical bodies behind to become wolves, at which point they would go to the underworld to fight witches. Doesn't that sound like a particular movie to you? Maybe called Underworld? Yeah, good stuff. So again, looking to hear from you guys. We got Kelly here we're going to go to in just a sec. We got a phone call coming in, and looking to hear from you. One more time, 702-957-1037. If you go to troubledminds.org, you'll find the phone number and the Discord link. So hang tight, Kelly. One sec. We're going to go to the phone call, and then we'll go to you just to get this, whoever's on the phone, off the phone. Let's do this, and we'll be right with you, sir. Hang tight. Thanks for your patience, guys. And we're talking about shapeshifters tonight. We're talking about the mythology of this. Do you think there's some actual merit to maybe this being a physical phenomenon, or do you think it's all like a spiritual type of thing? So let's go to the phone call here. Be right with you, Kelly. Hang tight. Let's go to whoever this is. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike, and Kelly's here as well. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
In the store. Hi, Mike. Hey, Kelly. This is Jennifer from Missouri.
Hey, Jennifer. What's happening? How are you?
Hey, Mike. Hey, Kelly. So I don't know. I do have a story about a shapeshifter, what I believe was a shapeshifter.
Okay,
fantastic. That I saw along with my boyfriend at the time. It was several years back. It's a story that I feel really strange telling it because I've only told like a few people this story. But it's really weird. I was expecting like you were talking about UFOs tonight or something, but you had the shapeshifter thing, and I was really like on the fence about even telling this story because it's one of those stories you almost had to be there to even believe it because it was so strange.
Well,
but
just so
go
you
ahead,
know,
I'll tell you anyway though.
Okay,
I mean,
I'd love to hear it.
Well.
Just so you know, though, we just talked about
Sure.
Billy Corgan talking about having sex with a shapeshifter, so you're in good company here. So
Yeah, I just heard. I just popped on the show and heard that, and I was like, oh my god, I've been listening for like the last maybe 15 minutes, so I heard that, or 20 minutes maybe.
Okay,
and that's
okay.
unbelievable. So, yes, the story's pretty crazy. Okay, well, this was several years back now, and right now I live out in the middle of nowhere, basically. It's very rural, but at this time with this story, I lived in a city. So in the same region in Missouri, so it's a city in Missouri. And it's still, though, and even in the city, there were lots of trees and little forest patches throughout the city and that kind of thing. Well, at the time, me and my boyfriend would go, we had this little ritual we would do where we would, go up to this, there were these railroad tracks that ran through a forest area. And there weren't many people who ever went up there. It was kind of sort of on the outskirts of town. And we'd go sit there and we watch the traffic go by and just hang out and sit there, basically. And so we would do this thing. And on this one night that this happened, we were on our way to the tracks to go hang out after work and everything and just, talk to each other. And there was a gas station this was behind his house, and then there was a gas station also. And we go in there and we get like a 6-pack of beer, basically, and like go sit up there and just watch whatever traffic was coming through and just talk on these tracks. So it was basically an overpass. And the tracks went through the forest and basically out into the countryside. And so it was kind of pretty. I guess it was the prettiest part of the city, how it could be. And so we were in the gas station, and we were getting snacks too, and there was this man there. And this is where it gets strange. So this was not like a high traffic gas station per se. There weren't like a lot of people or anything. It was kind of like a neighborhood thing. And there was this one man. It was a young man, probably about maybe our age or like a little older, like maybe at the time, maybe in his early 30s, I would say maybe. And he had blonde hair, and it was like long shoulder-length blonde hair, and he was kind of big. I mean, not like heavy set, but like just tall. And anyway, so he said something to me and was standing. I can't remember what he even said. It was just so not important at the time. But we were watching him, and he got like, how they have the beef jerky section at the end of each aisle? He grabbed like all the beef jerky. Now, this is going to sound so strange, but just hear me out. So he grabs the whole box. So you can see, like, they have the Slim Jims and the beef jerky. So he grabs all of those beef jerkies, like a wad of them in his arm. And he goes up, and we're paying behind him, and he buys all those, and he walks out the store. We pay for our purchase, and we follow behind,
That's
out
normal.
into the... yeah, it was just kind of strange. Not that big of a deal yet. And he goes out. Now, the gas station building is abutted to this forest, and then there's a path that goes up this hill and up to the tracks, to the top of the tracks, and then over, and basically into an empty street, and then a field, and then there is a subdivision over that way, further out. So we could see that he was going the same direction we were going, and we were slightly concerned because people usually don't go up in there. And so we were kind of hanging back because otherwise we would be falling right behind him. So we were probably about 17 to 20 feet, I'd say, kind of spaced behind him, going the same direction on this path that goes up the hill and onto the tracks and over into basically nothing. Anyway, so we were like, I don't know, we don't want to go hang out up there if he's going to be up there or something. So we're following behind him, and there had been a strange exchange. Like I said, he said something to me at the fountain because I was getting a fountain drink too. And I can't remember what he even said, but he referenced to something to what I was wearing or something like that. So we were kind of just on the fence about this dude who was also going the same direction. Anyway, nevertheless, so sorry. Try to stay on track.
That's okay.
It's so weird trying to tell this story because I just feel it's so strange. It sounds completely crazy. But anyway, though, but I'm going to just tell it.
You're in good company. My last name is Strange.
We were falling behind him, and he's walking up the hill, and this goes through the trees. It's kind of dark and everything, and it goes up. And we're following, and we're kind of keeping a distance, like I said, 17, 20 feet, something like that. 20 feet, something like that. So we see him go up the hill, and we're coming up too, and we get up to the top of the hill. Now, on the top of the hill, it's a track, railroad tracks, and there's a big light post that hangs out up over the tracks, probably every 100 feet, 200, I don't know. You know how they kind of have the light that goes over the tracks. And so you could see fairly well up there, as well as the city lights and everything, And he was gone. We get up to the top of the tracks, and he was, like, completely gone. And we were like, oh, that's so weird. Where'd he go? And so we were kind of, like, just to each other, kind of quietly, like, I don't even see him anymore. I don't know if he went over there or over there. We just didn't see. There was no one, but you could see fairly well. However, like I said, it was woods. So we were concerned about it just a little, but we let it go. So we went over to our usual spot, and we went and sat down against the bridge back, and we're just kind of sitting, not on the tracks, like off the tracks on the sidewalk area, that goes alongside the tracks. Now, and then we started to kind of relax and forget all about it. It was probably 15 minutes, probably 15, 20 minutes later, we're like, whatever. Anyway, so I was sitting cross-legged on the ground, just my feet crossed across each other. And I was looking at my boyfriend, and I was just talking to him about something completely unimportant. And then further behind him, and this is where it gets just really strange. Not just strange, like I said, you'd have to be there type of thing. Over his shoulder, at the same area that we went over on the path, there was the light post hanging over and everything. I see something, and it comes up. It comes up out of the side of the hill, and he's up on the top of this. So there's this thing, and it looks like maybe 3 to, at the distance, it's hard to say because I was probably at that point maybe 30 feet, maybe 40 feet. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the distance, maybe 50 feet even, probably 50 feet from this post. I could see it pretty clearly is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And it was probably 4 feet. I don't know. It's hard to guesstimate. It wasn't tall, I'll say that, and it wasn't little. It was somewhere in between there, but it wasn't it was dwarfish, like maybe 4'8", maybe something like that. And it had the skin of it was like a translucent gray, almost like shark skin or something, but it was almost like it was in the light. It just looked really strange. Like it was almost like a shimmering sort, not shimmering, but like it was moist. I'll put it that way. Maybe you could see it in the light coming off of him. And it was kind of hunched over, and its arms reached down past the knees, like it was hunched over, and the legs underneath it were like bent awkwardly, and it was walking completely casually up the side of the hill, and the head was like, I could see this thing very clearly. I just can't describe the kind of creature it looked like. Almost like a goblin or something, like the nose was very pronounced coming away from its face. It was like silhouetted by the light. I could see the nose came out really far, and the belly the arms were really skinny and long, and it just totally moseyed, like walking really strange, like lifting its knees too high because its legs were kind of short, and naked. Like it was like naked and just skin, but like not a person at all. Like I don't know how to like stress that enough. Like this was nothing that looked anything like a person at all. And it came across the tracks. It didn't look over. It just came across. It reached the top of the tracks. At that point, I started to tear up. Like my eyes started to like water up, and like I kind of like, and my boyfriend looked over his shoulder, and I was staring at this thing, and he looks over his shoulder, and he stands up and grabs my arm, and we like ran away from it. Like,
that says it right
ran
there.
like the opposite direction across the tracks of the bypass thing, and slid down the gravel hill and ran like several blocks all the way back to my mother's house. And we go inside, and we were like, didn't say anything. And the whole time that we were going, like, we were both just like, what was that? Like, didn't say much of anything to each other, but both were just like freaked out, And then we get to my mom's house, and my mom wasn't home, and we go inside, and we were both just like, you can imagine, just like totally, we were just really freaked out. And I was like, no, now, like this was years ago. So it was like several years ago now. But I was like, I just couldn't believe that he saw it. I couldn't believe that he saw it, that I had seen it, and that he had saw it. Like, it was unbelievable. And I was like, we should draw what you saw. And I'm going to sit on this. And my mom had a long kitchen table. And I was like, I'm going to draw what I saw, and you draw what you saw. And I want to make sure, because and he did, like, we couldn't believe that we had seen this thing. And I drew like a weird outline type thing, and he did too. And I was just like, what was that? You know, and then things got a little strange. I'm just going to make it real quick, wrap it up. My brother and my mother lived in the same house, and I was living with them at the time. And he had this giant pit bull, like this 100-pound, he's passed away now. They had like this pit bull that was like this pedigree, really expensive dog that was like probably, I don't know, 90 pounds of like solid muscle and like show dog, like beautiful, you know, Staffordshire bulldog type dog. But really tough. It's really tough dog. And that dog that night and the next day, like all the way into the next day, like refused to go outside, to the point where he did go outside eventually. And like, he like just was, and not only that though, but there was this, I'm drifting now, but there was all kinds of things that carried on after that for like 3 days, where it was like this unexplained phenomena kind of going on around my mother's house, where the house we had ran to, and we were concerned that the thing had followed us. Anyway, it eventually passed and blew over, and we went back up there another time and left pretty shortly after. But I have never seen anything like that in my life, and I've never seen anything since. And I swear, like, that dude ate all that beef jerky and like turned into a goblin.
Like, snap into a Slim Jim.
Exactly, like,
Turn into
I don't know how to explain it, but like that's all I could deduce, because it was unbelievable.
Yeah,
and the creature that was seen, like I said, is the stuff of like complete ridiculousness, and that's why I was like so apprehensive. I was like, don't tell it, you know, but I was like, oh, I should totally tell it.
Nah, totally. But, like, this is the type of thing, right? We get
Yeah,
together and, like, you never know. Like, people see crazy stuff out there all the time. And if you don't say something, we all think we're nuts.
That was my personal story, so I felt really uncomfortable telling it. But, because, you know, people are going to be like, that's bull, you know. I was like, no, you like, that's why I didn't even want to tell it. But, like, you had to be there to see it. And that was witnessed not only by myself, but by my boyfriend. And, like, it was just unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable. And I believe that that man was the same thing. Like, I think he went off in those trees or something. And like, I don't know if the beef jerky like activated him or what, but it was unbelievable.
The activation.
Anyway, though.
So
that's
okay.
my story about it.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
But,
so theory on that? Do you any guess on what that might have been? So we were talking about some different entities tonight that have been said
it's strange because, you know, on those tracks, on those tracks, there were like there's a large population of homeless people in this area of that city, and they kind of make these camps and stuff like that. So people fall asleep on these tracks. People get hit by trains and stuff. There's all kinds of what do you call it? You know, like animals that get hit by the trains like that. What if this thing was like lived up in there and was like some type of shape-shifting humanoid goblin thing or something? And like, I mean, of course, we've speculated about what it could possibly have been, but like, I don't know. I mean, it was kind of out of the way. There wasn't really a neighborhood. There was nowhere he could have really gone. I mean, I guess the guy could have gone up into the forest or something like that, but he was strange. I can't explain how he was strange, except like I said, that he just didn't look, he looked completely out of place. But I mean, people can look out of place, but he didn't look strange or cool or anything like that. I mean, he looked like a normal man, but he grabbed, like, have you ever seen anybody buy, like, all of the beef jerky? Like, I've never seen that. But anyway, that's my story, and that's about it.
That's good stuff. Like, I got some guesses here of what maybe you saw, but that's amazing. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for the call. Thanks for sharing the story.
Yeah.
I know it's not easy to share some of these personal experiences, but that's why we do it in this format.
No, it's not. It's really uncomfortable because you're like, it's unbelievable, you know? But it's that kind of show that's like, well, you guys are talking about unbelievable stuff anyhow.
Anyhow.
It's like, I'm going to go ahead and tell it.
Exactly.
But because it's a weird story. But yeah, I was like, well, and thanks for making me feel comfortable telling it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's nowhere else to tell it.
Yeah, definitely. The pleasure is ours.
So,
Thank you for listening.
yeah.
Thanks for calling. Thanks for having an amazing story to tell.
Of course.
Right on. Have a
Bye.
great night. Thanks, Jennifer from Missouri. There you go. Easy as that, guys. Easy. You got a story to tell that is in the unbelievable realm. You're in the right place here. These are the types of things that we do this show for, to get firsthand accounts of these things. And I don't know, like so just throwing out a guess there is some of the things we talked about tonight is maybe they call them fairies or what do they call them? Some other term. Who knows what's going on there? And that's very prevalent in like the United Kingdom and places in Europe where they call them fairies as these shapeshifters and things. But yeah, crazy good stuff. Thank you for the call, Jennifer. Kelly, thanks for being patient, man. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Good, man. How you guys doing?
Doing good. What in the world is going on tonight? That was a crazy call, huh? Good stuff. I've never seen anything quite like that.
That sounds pretty crazy. Sound like if she's by like a train tracks or like a bridge, it'd be like a troll.
Yeah, right.
Like
right.
Yeah, like the belly, long arms, and kind of like the fictional things that you see. But some people have, like you're saying, like there's some places like in Europe they have a lot of crazy stories like that, like trolls that live in or goblins that like live inside rocks. And you can't really move the rock. Even the whole town is like all with it too. Like kids, they say that kids see him more than adults, because after in adults you go into society and you just lose the ability to see these things. Pretty crazy though.
Yeah, that's nuts. I've never. So I have seen some weird stuff, kind of like she described, kind of come out of the ground in like a shadow type of form. I saw something like that when I was a young man. I've told this story once before, but it's like I saw something. It was kind of twilight and it was dark. It was getting, it was almost to the point where it was almost dark, but there was just a sliver of sunlight left, so you could see those really deep shadows. And there was something in this hill. There was in the city I was living in. There's like this Vietnam memorial with like a hill, and there's like a flag on top and a light up on top by the flag. And I was running home because when I was a young man, all I did was run because didn't have a car, so I was like, I got to get there, so I'd always be running. And was a fantastic track star, by the way, as a result of it. That's advice. If you want to run, just run a lot and you'll get good at it. But anyway, I was running home and jogging home at twilight, and there was something I saw that kind of came out of the hill, like the hillside. It was like flat, right? It was like normal, like a normal hillside that kind of comes down in a slope. But then something like just stood up, like this shadow. I mean, everything was shadows. So granted, it could have been a person because it was more of like a humanoid type shape. But if it kind of came out of the slope I was seeing, it was like it had to have been a person laying down on the side of a hill in like the weeds type. You know what I mean? It didn't make sense. It scared the piss out of me. So instead of cutting across, going over the top of the hill, I ran around the other side. I should have went and checked it out, but there's my crazy story. I don't know if it's a shapeshifter or anything else, but if it was a person laying in the weeds, what the hell are you doing up there in the weeds? Yeah. Anyway. All right. So what do you think about all this crazy stuff, man? The shapeshifters and everything else.
It's pretty crazy. You hear like I ran across plenty of these stories as well. You hear it, just like one of them was the Emerald Tablets, where I read that paragraph that one night where he talks about these things that were from the dark. How they got called upon was it was the offering of the blood, the blood offering. And then they could come into this world, but they would kill the leaders of all these tribes, and then shapeshift to look like the leaders, and then rule over men. So that is kind of a part like that. But yeah, I mean, you hear these stories like, hey, I just wanted to call real quick and just to give I don't know if anybody's seen this one. It actually was even on Ancient Origins. And it's actually a real thing, and I'm going to talk about this. It was in Egypt, right? It's an ancient text from Egypt, and it talks about a shapeshifter. And I'll just read. It tells you, all about like the city it came from. It was found in like It was found in. It was written in crypto language or Coptic language. It was written in text for the Saint Cyril of Jerusalem, a distinguished theologian who lived in the 4th century, and he talks about a crucifixion of Jesus, right? But the text explains it like this. This is what it says in the text. It says, "Then the Jews said to Judas, How shall we arrest him? For he does not have a single shape, but his appearance changes. Sometimes he's ruddy, sometimes he's white, sometimes he's red, sometimes he's wheat colored, sometimes he's pale like a astricus. I think that's what it is. And sometimes he's youth. Sometimes he's an old man." And the guy who kind of deciphered this, he was saying that he kind of stood back, and he was like, I'm not saying that he's a shapeshifter, but this is what it reads. I mean, if you read it yourself, that's kind of weird that it's stated like that. But there's also another one that talks about it was he was his name was Van de Broek, right? He explains that Judas, the first kiss, right, that you hear about it, would come from another theologian who was in 185 to 254 AD. In his work, the Carillium, the Contra Carillium, an ancient writer, states that this is what he stated: "To those who saw him, which is Jesus, did not appear alike to all." So he didn't look like anybody else. He was different. And there was another one that I came across as saying that that the colors that Jesus, that he was actually, when he was born like his skin was black. They talk about his feet were like soot, but like he was not only black but like dark, like shadow, like black, dark. You know what I mean? Like he was different, and that he could shapeshift, change color like a chameleon. So it's pretty interesting. And and that's what I'm saying. That that people would try to to disagree with this or call it false, but you can see it right now. And actually, in 1910, it was purchased along with a bunch of other texts by the fancier J.P. Morgan and his collections, and you can see it in their Morgan Library, or the Morgan Library and Museum in New York City. If you actually want to go and see this actual text that talks about that, it's pretty interesting.
Oh, sorry, I muted myself. I was answering you without answering you. So was that the actual like an actual story of Jesus like appeared to different people as different things? Yeah. Like the actual Jesus.
They were saying they was saying that the reason why that Judas, because that's they talk about the whole text in here, but let me try to find it. Right? He said he leads Judas to suggesting that the kiss means to identify him, right? That's the whole point, that how they arrest him. But the reason why they wanted him to do that is because Jesus was a shapeshifter. He could, and that's what I'm saying. That they're not saying that, there's not literally saying that he was a shapeshifter, but that's what they read, and that's the part that I read, that he was, he could change his color from red, white, pale. He could see like almost like see-through. He was wheat color. He could change himself from youth to an old man. So it's pretty interesting. I mean, that's only a section of it. I've actually seen, like I went to another place, I seen the same text, but it reads further down, and like he could. It's not only that, he could change old man, or he could change himself from man to woman. It was just crazy. It was a crazy read just to see this stuff. I'm not a religious person, that already, but, to read something like that from a text like that from where they found in a church, old church, in the end, because the church was destroyed, right? The church was destroyed, but they had it in safekeeping in like a jar or something, and it was like they had it hidden, and when they were, they were doing archaeology of that church, they found this text. So yeah, he talks about the actual Jesus as a shapeshifter.
That's amazing. I've never heard it in those terms, but yeah. So they did have to do that the Judas the kiss thing, right, to identify him. So weird. Like, I don't know the context there, but that's, the additional context, but that's amazing. I mean, you would expect, right? If all, the Son of God and all this stuff, right? Like, if that was the case, surely he would be able to do those things and maybe make himself a sort of a chameleon to people, meaning that he was, he would be able to disguise himself, right, from, say a would-be assassin or things like this, right? If they don't notice or recognize it's him, he can kind of maybe in real life stealth put himself out of danger type of situation. Who knows? That's an amazing story, man. And what is this book from again? Can you tell me that?
Yeah, actually, I'll put it. It's from Ancient Origins. They talked about it, but it's just an ancient text that they found, and it's called published. Let's see. They found it in a church called Saint Cyril of Jerusalem.
Okay.
Right, and there was a distinguished theologian who lived there in the 4th century, and he talks about a crucifixion story of Jesus and the possible, as it was a plot twist, and this is why they were. And the guy who read it was, he's from the University of Netherlands. And his name, I'll just have to spell it because if I try.
I'm with you.
It's like Roloff. It's Roloff, Roelof, Van Den, Van, and then these are all different. They're all separate words, and then Den, Ben, and then his last name is Broek. And he was in the University of Netherlands, and he wrote a book called Pseudo Christ of Jerusalem, on the life and the passion of Christ, and it's called the Coptic what's that? Just check him out, and yeah.
I do the same thing. I'm like, oh God, this word's too big for me. No thanks.
I'm like, well, it's different. And man, I can't pronounce that. Some of those ones with a K with next to an R. I don't know how would you pronounce that in like Fraudach.
Right, exactly. Like it's literally translated.
I don't want. That's why I don't want to butcher it. You know what I mean? So I don't want to sound like an asshole either. So.
Yeah, exactly. Right, like yeah, agreed. That's nuts, man. I've never heard that story ever, and I've heard a lot of stories about Christ and the passion and all that stuff. That's nuts, man. That's incredible. So yeah, please link that. So with that, that's an amazing story to kind of add to the mythologies tonight. Is there anything else that like I know that you've got some native background in your blood there. How about the situation with maybe the skinwalkers actually changing shapes physically, or do you think it's a spiritual thing, like the spiritual animal, like the spirit animal type situation, more of like a out of body experience? What do you think about all that?
No, that's more of a like a you have like a like a medicine man, the medicine man with can have extreme power, but there's different tales that like from different bands, from different tribes, where you would have different stories. But one would be like they would, you've heard some ones that they had to kill a family member, or other ones where they just knew, they were taught, they just go into a forest, right, and they would disappear, come back, and they would have these abilities to do some of this stuff. But yeah, it just depends where you could hear. They could change shapeshift into like different animals, or even different family members too. They could even do that. That's for a moment. It's pretty crazy, man. Yeah, that's one too. I don't know. The shapeshifting is you hear about all the time that these things would be like shadow figures, crawling around in the dark, or through. That's why you see a lot of these people say they really ain't sure because it was in the shadows, or something. That's because they're probably part of it, or they look like it. You know what I mean? That's where you could, if in the shadows they could look like they can change shapes. It's just weird. I don't know if it's a mind play or if they're actually doing something like that. But these stories are pretty crazy. Like I get into some of this mythology too, but to me, if they've been around that long, I kind of tend to believe not to call them mythology, because these stories are not just like in one area. You hear these stories worldwide, again. So this planet to me, it's if you go by like what I read too with the again with the thing with the Anunnakis and everything. This planet was something else. It was another planet before it became Earth, and it was the whole collision, and then you got the the hammered bracelet, which is the asteroid belt. But yeah, even science talks about that. That's how like a chunk broke off and it would form the moon. It's almost they're identical, but yeah, who knows what was on this planet before? You could have mythology. We call it mythology, but in ancient folks back then, they call that shit real. They drew that shit on cave walls. And these people, and there was a guy who that I kind of liked what his statement was, is like these people back then were running for their lives, either hunting or being hunted by other animals. And to write something or draw something on the wall back then had meaning to them. That's why you see that thing where they seen it, they drew it. Like the cows or something. But you see these strange creatures that look like they could almost transform, or they have like horns or antlers or some shit on their heads. It's pretty interesting where and then they have, they don't have written stuff. Everything was verbal, like through some of these ancient peoples, so if you didn't draw it, it was actually, word of mouth, and it just carried down through through histories. But that's where people call it mythology, because, if they act like if it ain't written down, or, have a camera back then to solidify that you've seen it, then it's mythology. But just like what Jennifer said, she didn't know what the hell she seen. Looked like a damn troll or something, or something like that. Almost kind of remind me of this creature that they see over in Maryland area where I was stationed at. They call it the Goat Man. It's kind of like that, with the weird pot belly with long skinny legs, weird head. Doesn't look, it kind of like walks like a human, but it's not. It's pretty weird.
Yeah, all kinds of weird stuff out there. What's up, Tam Bam? Shout out in the chat. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for waking up early to hang out with us. The Fae, that's what I was looking for. She said it. Fairy and the Fae, F-E-Y, is what they're called in Europe. Is kind of what I thought of maybe Jennifer's story there. Also, Jennifer, if you're still out there listening, do you possibly still have that drawing that you made? We'd love to see that if you can take a picture and maybe upload it to the Discord. Love to see that. And not only that, right? Like it's if you do, right? That's corroboration, right? That's like what happened, and you got a story, and you got a picture, and the whole deal. That's amazing, right? Like that's the best thing about actual, real, firsthand accounts is like those things. Like you don't trust yourself, you don't trust your own eyeballs, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go. Like it's like when I see some weird light in the sky, I go get Mrs. Strange immediately, so I don't think I'm nuts, Like, hey, come look at this. Like, am I insane? What am I seeing here, Like, you kind of get some validation with that stuff. But yeah, amazing, man, amazing. So I don't know. Like, clearly there's like a spiritual element to this, but I think maybe when you get down to brass tacks with the conversation, is do you think that people can actually transform into other things? Right? Like actually physically, or right? Is it maybe like kind of like a Jedi mind trick, like a trick of the mind? Like, they can make you believe that you saw them change form. You know what I'm saying? Something like that.
Yeah, with me, okay, when I started doing that too, then you have to almost turn to magic, or what we would call magic, right? Something and what magic is, and what I'm finding is like, because everything starts with like, tracing the planets and the stars, the ones that are stationary and the ones that are not, everything is being affected by energy vibration. So yeah, if you have, what we would call magic, that's what it's kind of, it's what it is, but like I said, where I was trying to get at was, you're using your, the words, the speech, what I mean? Even like, that's why you have monks, you like the Om, when that whole came from, like over there in England or in India, that all the Buddhist monks and stuff, they have like a certain, or they blow horns, or, you have those bowls, the singing bowls. Those are all, you use all that stuff, or could be help. People think that's all just, like what they call it now, with crystals and everybody. That all, to me, that's even science proves all that stuff. So I don't know where some of the disconnect is, where some people just don't agree with that. But yeah, I mean, with that, you can conjure up anything. Like like I said, your verbal word. That's the whole thing. That you heard the memes out there talk about. That's why they call it spelling. But yeah, it's your speech and the way people do stuff. You could probably pull something out, and like we don't even know everything about the universe. Let alone what we can't see and hear. And that's we can't. There's sounds we can't hear, like dogs. As humans, we can't hear it. Or like we can't see different colors, the color spectrum. We can't see past that either. So there's probably shit all around us we don't even know.
Exactly.
Dead people, and I believe them.
Yeah, and it kind of takes it back to that. They see with the naked eye, there's nothing in the sky, and then you put like a FLIR camera, like an infrared, and you see something out there. It's like, what the hell just happened? We got Fred. He went to bed a little bit earlier, but he literally bought himself a FLIR camera to watch the skies because he heard that you could see things in the sky through that you couldn't see with the naked eye. And he's been doing it. He's been out like spending time outside kind of scanning for these things, and he finally caught something. He was like, holy shit, it's there. Like, he was able to quantify, you can't see it with your eyeballs, but look at the picture I took with the FLIR. And he actually shared it with us a while back. Those things are out there, man. There's things out there. What are they? I don't know, but you're absolutely right. There's some things that kind of operate outside of our human senses. Well, that doesn't mean it's not science. It just means we haven't really given it a name yet, right?
Yeah, because there's there's scientists and there's people out there that are that are trying to do studies on this stuff, and and they're looking for, that's where you see, like, they call them ghost hunters, like they're using all these fancy stuff they're trying to, but what they're trying to like the one speech one, they're where you're trying to capture some kind of a speech. It's a vibration they're trying to pick up. That's like I'm saying, everything is energy, vibration, and frequency. And Tesla wasn't lying when he said those words. Everything is like that. And then you have the number system, 369 and all that shit. But yeah, you can, and everything is just like we were talking yesterday, like the fault doors I was talking about. These things, and people said that they've seen these people. Is it a jump gate, or is it something else, or is it dimensional? Is it a dimensional door to go to somewhere or is it just a what they call that another frequency, or I guess it would be for a dimension, but something, they're all they say they're all next to each other, right? Who knows?
Yeah, in the same space. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, crazy stuff, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I think that's where the conversation lies. It's kind of, I mean, and it's not really that, groundbreaking to have a conversation like this. It's like people raise their eyebrow at you and they're like, "What are you talking about? You're nuts." But it's like, you go back 500 years, and like, there was like a cutting edge of scientific discovery where they were talking about the world being round, or the sun not revolving around the earth. Like there was like cutting edge to there, that the discussion seemed insane at the time. It's like, no, nobody believes that. Like that, like, come on, like they executed people for these types of thoughts. I mean, this is not new. We're kind of standing on the shoulders of giants at this point, kind of taking these conversations to the next step. So it's not, to me, it's okay. This is all okay. And I appreciate it. I appreciate all your hot takes, man. You always got good shit to say.
Yeah, man. There's another one I would like to bring up too, is
sure.
What they back in the day, the people, they thought they were crazy because they said they seen something. Maybe sometimes they did fucking see something, and back then they didn't know. They just threw them in a padded room, or even like, I would say people with money, they didn't want a family member around, so they do some weird medical shit back then, you know, because those loony bins back then, they did some ruthless shit, you know, to people. But who knows that these people were actually really seeing some shit, you know? And sometimes they didn't have family, you know, they thought they were crazy, they lived on the street, or maybe they didn't have no back then because, you know, I'm talking like, you know, 1912 or something, you know, where they were putting these, where they had these, you know, these hospitals, they call them, you know, and they just tinkered around. Like, for example, you know, where they would stick a spike in your back of your eyeball and then pound your brain, you know, becomes. I mean, that's what they were doing with people all the time that thought you know, people said that they were crazy, or they'd try to bring a preacher over or something, but maybe, like I said, maybe they were seeing some shit.
Yeah, again, and that's part of this is it seems like whatever, you know, I mean, and I think it's a little bit unimaginative to try and label all of these things, you know, the same phenomena, right? Like it just seems a little bit easy. It's just too easy to be like, oh, it's all interdimensional stuff. It's, you know, it's all coming in and out, phasing in and out, and we're, you know, sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't, right? And it's, you know, the shadow, the black eyed kids and the shadow people and the UFOs and the, you know, the shapeshifters. It's all the same. I mean, it just seems like, sure, fine. Like maybe you could boil it down to an explanation of a possibility of all those things, but it's just not all the same thing, man. It's just not the same stuff. It is not, and that's where the conversation comes in, right?
Oh,
Tam,
yeah. I mean,
Tam, we're gonna go to you next. I saw you in there. Get your ass back in the caller queue.
Just one thing was just, you know, I mean, like you're saying, some of these stories have been before even probably mankind were here, you know, like. Some of these creatures, you never know. They could be been living underground. And when you have physical evidence, like there was given an example, there was this kid, you know, I was watching this thing where they were talking about different, like Mothman and, you know, Goatman. There was a story of this kid. He was a young black kid. He was leaving a friend's house, but he had a flat tire, and he was by this little pond or a lake or something. Mm-hmm. And he tire and he came out, and while he was done, he was finishing up. He said he looked over and it almost looked like what you would call a reptilian, right? He said, but it was like, he called it like a swamp monster or some shit. But he said he was so scared, he just left the jack and everything there. But the tire was on, and he just jumped in the vehicle, and this thing was chasing him. But yeah, I guess he sunk the thing sunk his fingers through the, you know, and his claws through the side of the car. But what was incredible about it, you know, they have a cop, you know, police report and everything on it. They have physical pictures of these things. It looks like literally like someone stuck their fingers and like had claws or some shit and like ripped it. You know what I mean? It was trying to chase the vehicle or some shit. It was pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, you never know what the hell's out there, man.
Yeah, lots of crazy stories like that too. So we got Tam coming in. You want to hang out or you want to bounce, Kelly? Up to you, brother.
Yeah, no, I got to bounce, but good talking with you guys. You guys have a good evening, and good morning, Tam Bam.
Right on. I appreciate it, Kelly. Thanks for all the great stuff. We'll talk to you soon, okay? Have a fantastic weekend. Actually, we'll be streaming tomorrow night, so hop on if you want to talk about the UFO report. Hopefully, we'll be talking about that tomorrow night.
I'll be.
Right on. Thanks, brother. We'll catch you then. We'll catch you then. Moving you out, moving Tam in. All right. Thanks, Kelly. Tam Bam, welcome to the show. You're on with Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you?
Hey, it's Tam.
Hello. Welcome. Good morning from Las Vegas to South Africa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. It's Thursday. It's close to Friday, end of the week. It's good. I feel good.
Oh, shit. It's Friday for me.
Hell yeah. Double hell yeah. Happy Friday.
Well, we don't know. Well, since I last spoke to you, I was on the air, we've had an enormous amount of COVID cases that we might go into lockdown again.
Oh, are you kidding?
It's crazy.
Again?
Yeah. Again. So the hospitals are packed. People are dying everywhere. It's just insane.
Holy smokes. And that's that Delta variant. It's happening.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Geez. Not good.
So they're going to lock everything down again, and kids are going to be home probably for 3 weeks. They're going to lock down restaurants, and business must still carry on. So there's restrict. You got to work from home if you can, but the kids are at home because the kids are getting sick now, badly.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good. The first time it wasn't the kids, and now the kids are getting sick.
Yeah. Pretty bad. Anyway, obviously I missed like the last 5 minutes now that I've been waiting on the caller queue from the Discord. So I don't know what you were talking about on Facebook. But I just wanted to say, there's a reason why kids see different things that adults don't see. And it's because they're in such a high vibration when they're born that they see fairies and they see all these things. And as we grow up into adults, we are on a lower vibration because of society and what we have to do every day living on this earth. So, but we still see things. It's just the lower vibrations of what we see. So we see all the negative stuff, and the kids see all the higher vibration things. So they're able to see, little angels and the fae and things like that.
Okay. All right. That makes sense to me.
And then, and then we also mustn't rule out pareidolia, where people actually try and make sense of what they've seen. That if you see something that doesn't make sense to you, your brain automatically tries to make sense of it. So it might look like a shadow, and then your brain says, okay, well, it kind of looks like a face. So then you can't really do that because it might just be a shadow. So you must never rule that out because it's still a human experience.
Exactly.
Unless it comes and says hi to you.
Well, exactly. And so you're in the right place for that. So again, like as we are open to believing, we also need to be, in many capacities of the skeptical mind, because the human brain is fallible and we can trick ourselves into believing things. And so that's definitely part of the conversation. I'm glad you brought it up. So we kind of glaze over that a lot because, in the old days it was like, oh, everything's pareidolia. It also becomes like the skeptic's dream because you can just explain everything away as, Jennifer's story. She saw this troll, pareidolia.
Mr. Story.
Oh, you missed it. Oh, go back and listen. Go back and listen on the archive. Holy crap. What a story. Like she actually saw what she believed to be a fae or a fairy or a troll or a something, like a shapeshifter of sorts. Amazing story, like a first-hand account. And she, again, unquantifiable. Like it's one of those things that she said she didn't even want to tell a story really. It was one of those weird ones where it's like, I'm not sure I should be talking about this, but these things happen, right? We see these things. Yeah, we see these things. So we were talking about shapeshifters tonight. What do you think that? So in general terms, because we don't have to drag you through all the dredges of the things we talked about again. But do you think that it's possible that people can change physical shape, or do you think that the shape-shifting phenomena is more of like a mental state of like the shamanic journey of maybe like a higher consciousness state of maybe using hallucinogens or a meditative state or things like this? Any take on that?
Well, listen, the earth is so big, the history is so large, it is all possible. We can't pinpoint and pick out and say, okay, well, that's true. It has to be true because it might just make sense to you. So everything and anything is possible. I do really believe there are shapeshifters out there. I've told you my story going to England. I've experienced a reptilian myself, and it was the most horrifying thing, but it also was great because it was confirmation that I'm not actually insane. That it is true.
That's always nice.
It's always nice, yeah. So I really do believe. And then, you get those Buddhists. I don't know if many people know of this, but when they meditate, and this is, I think, what they aim for is meditation to the point where you become light. So they had this. When was it? They had this mummified body, but when they scanned it, it was just all rainbow. It was just one complete rainbow. So this Buddhist meditated to a point where he died, but he actually became a rainbow. So, well, good on him, but still, personally, I think it's a waste of time to meditate for that long.
It depends. Maybe he turned into something amazing. Maybe it is worth it. It's entirely hard to tell. Yeah.
Well, maybe, yeah.
You never know. But yeah, I'm with you, right? We still got bills to pay and kids to feed and stuff like that. So rainbows don't get that done, right? All right, we lost Tam. Let's bring Tam back. There you go. Sorry about that. Welcome back. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Got the sketchy.
Sorry.
Welcome back.
It's far away.
That's okay. Half a world away. Literally half a world away. And here we are discussing strange things from Las Vegas to South Africa. And her internet's a little sketchy. So bring it back in. There you go. Welcome back. So we're about. I'm not trying to run you off. We got time for you. So you tell me what thoughts on this, on the rest of this stuff.
Okay. I want to talk about Kelly's thing.
Sure.
Because I am religious and Kelly isn't. So it's actually quite fun to have these conversations with someone who isn't religious. And I love the fact that he actually found these records where he said he read that Jesus was a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
For me, okay, yes. I mean, it's all debatable. Everything is debatable. And until, you get told to your face from Jesus, listen, this is what it was. We can all debate. But I love the fact that all I heard was Jesus is real. And he was here.
Right.
It was tick box for me.
Yeah, it's amazing. So not only I think what I took from that story is I don't necessarily think Jesus was a shapeshifter. I think Jesus was able to, according to the story and my understanding of it, is that he was able to make people see him differently. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not sure it was a physical change. It was more of if he wanted you to see him, you would see him. And if he wanted you to not, you would not. You would see him as something else, right? So it's kind of like maybe back to that Jedi mind trick sort of situation. But yeah, that's still an amazing story, one I've never heard, right? Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah, never. And I kind of concur because people mistake I'll tell you, the people mistake talking in tongues with, you're completely with the Holy Spirit and you're talking in tongues, and you know how the priests on the TV, the pastors on the TV talk in tongues to the congregation. That's not what it is. If you do serious research into biblical texts, talking in tongues is actually speaking within the Holy Spirit, but everybody from a different country, you speaking a different language, in the same crowd can hear exactly what your message is. That's what talking in tongues means. So, if Jesus came, everyone saw Jesus in a different light or a different way or in a different shapeshift, talking in tongues is not far off. Or is not far off from talking in tongues. So I concur.
Yeah.
I really do.
Weird, right? So you have people with different faiths in different parts of the world, and hearing some strange stories. And there's still, even though, right, like we're told that religious people aren't supposed to get along with people that are not religious, right? That's what we're told. We're told it's like
rubbish,
right? It's rubbish. Exactly. There are common threads here. There are ways to look into some of these things and be able to, be in solidarity with humanity and say, okay, yeah, these things may or may not. I believe them as a fact or truth, but still, to not really give them any sort of, a plausibility is, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice, and it's division. It's just division, more division politics and all the rest of this. But yeah, that was a great story. I agree. Lots of great stories tonight. We had several firsthand accounts, a story I've never heard before, which is not incredibly rare, but I've been doing this for quite a while now, as you know. And so a lot of the stuff that comes up, I've heard of. I've heard tonight some stuff I've never even heard of. That's amazing. Like I said when we started the show tonight, at the very beginning, I said, look, guys, I've learned a ton of stuff doing this show, but the most amazing things I learned are from you, and you all came through again. It just seems like night after night, you guys are coming through with some amazing stuff, amazing stories, amazing references to some things that we were talking about that I never even considered. Isn't that amazing, Tam?
Why are you surprised? I mean, we are an amazing group of people. I mean,
well, that's
come
true.
on.
That's true. But it's just like it's night after night. Like I said, you're right. I shouldn't be surprised. I retract the statement. You win. You win this time.
I do win.
You do. You do. All right.
That's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's finish this up then. We're done. Thanks again for Tam Bam for joining us. Thanks for waking up early and listening to us. Thanks for spreading the word. All that good stuff. Be safe out there. If you got a new variant of COVID, wreck and shop. Do all the things. Be as safe as you can, and batten down the hatches if you need to, and be safe. Praying for you. All that good stuff. Okay?
Thanks a million.
Right on. Let's
Okay.
finish.
Keep well.
Finish. Thank you, Bailey. If you're there, I know you got your depth of religious scripture and knowledge is way better than mine. You want to comment on the Jesus story? Have you ever heard that before? We got Bailey in the listening on air here. Just want to make sure if Bailey wants to say something, she can. But if you want to comment on that, love to hear your take on it. If not, that's cool too. I'm not trying to twist anybody's arm. But we're about to finish here. So as you guys know, tomorrow we will have a special stream on the same time, 7 p.m. So I don't know how long it's going to go because the UFO report is supposed to be 4 pages. so it may be short. It may be, if we get calls, we'll roll with the calls and we'll make it a long show. But we'll see. But tomorrow we will have a special stream for the actual UFO report at 7 p.m. the regular time. It'll be a special Friday show because this is supposed to be this is disclosure, right? This is we'll see what tomorrow looks like. But
if it's 4 pages, it better be font size 4,
exactly.
And in bullet point right to the margins, edge of each page. It better be
exactly. Agreed. So we'll see. We'll be the judge of that when it actually happens. But we're told to expect 4 pages of declassified information from the government regarding UFOs. So we'll be all over that. So that's what we're going to do. Tomorrow we'll have a special stream. So normally we don't do Friday. Tomorrow we'll do a Friday show, and we'll be looking for whatever the hell's going on. Are the aliens here? Or is the government lying again? We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But that's what's up.
It's always lying. Damn it.
What's that?
The government is always lying.
Yeah, exactly.
Always.
Exactly. So we've all kind of made our predictions. What's your prediction on this, Tam? On the UFO disclosure bit for tomorrow? What should we expect?
Okay, I'm going to repeat myself that I did the other nights. I'm going to say they might release some basic stuff, but never reveal that they've had communication. Because then it would be a fact of they've been lying to us for so long, and they will never ever want to be held accountable for anything, and that's just what it is.
Agreed. We'll see. I'm crossing my fingers that we're going to be not disappointed, but surprised. I'm hoping that's the case. But we'll be all over it. I'll be up early tomorrow checking to see if this drops. Hopefully it is tomorrow. If it's not, we'll still do a stream anyway and talk about what could have been. So there you go. Appreciate it.
Bitches. They better release something good. I'm so anxious.
Exactly. Ash says the report is just a reptilian nude spread of me. There you go. 4 pages. Oh boy.
Got to throw himself in there.
Why not? Why not? Well,
why not?
Why not? All right, we're done. You want to hang out for the outro, or you out of here, Tam? I'm going to play some music and do our usual wave my arms in the air and shout at the moon.
Oh shit! Be liking.
Yeah, right. Why not? Why the hell not?
Okay. No. I'm going to leave.
Okay.
So all of you guys have a great time. My great show as per usual. Bye guys. Have a good evening. While I have a great day.
Have a great day, Tam. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. God bless you and the family. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. All right. There we go. Tam Bam from South Africa. We've got lots of folks joining us tonight. telling fantastic stories and considering all the things as possible or not possible. I've got it from an inside source, a Galactic Federation ambassador, that tomorrow's UFO report is just going to be a nude spread of Ash, the reptilian from Mars. So we look forward to that. We'll be doing a special stream tomorrow night to cover whatever happens tomorrow regarding the UFO 6-month report. But otherwise, for tonight, we're done with Shapeshifters. We may revisit at some point. There's a lot to talk about that we didn't get to. I appreciate all the calls and all the participation, all the fantastic chat, all the great stories. Thank you, John and Jennifer, for the first-hand accounts. Everybody else for the fantastic calls. You guys are amazing. One more time, this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Like I said, thank you for hanging out with us. I know you could be doing a million things, and some of you are staying up late for us. Some of you are waking up early for us. Some of you are skipping a hockey game on TV for us, or whatever it is. Whatever's going on, I appreciate it quite a lot. Thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow, God willing, and doing our thing, talking about aliens and conspiracy and paranormal. As we're done, you know the deal. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours. Have a great night.